Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has Kaguya sealed inside High School DxD. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by AlernateReality, and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Walking through the forest is a young man looking like he just officially reached adulthood, but his short white spiky hair definitely tells a different story. He is wearing a long white coat, and inscribed on the back is 10 tails in kanji with black flames on the bottom edges of the coat. Currently walking down the road cut into the forest, he is admiring the beauty of nature and breathing in the fresh air. Of course, being a sage makes him that much more in tune with nature, and he really can appreciate everything that nature truly is. Breathing in the air again, he slightly frowns when he smells something out of place in front of him, but walks forward confident that he can handle anything thrown at him. I mean, after fighting a goddess, your sense of fear or caution gets pretty much thrown out the window. After another couple minutes, he finds himself surrounded by a group of 15 thugs who popped out of the forest. Rolling his eyes at their stupidity, Naruto stands there with his arms crossed. Just put your money down on the ground and you can walk out of this alive. The leader of the group sneers and Naruto quirks his eyebrow at their stupidity. Don't you know who I am? He asks, and the men in front of him just laugh at this youth's idiocy. It doesn't really matter right now, as you can see you're outnumbered, the leader says cockily. The men just start moving closer to him, and Naruto just sighs. Let's just get this over with, Naruto says, and he moves so quick that to the men he just disappears. The next second all but the leader fall to the ground holding their necks with blood gurgling out of them. He stops right in front of the leader, and looks at him with a blank expression. Well, the sides are a little more even now, don't you think? Naruto says, and the leader's expression is one of pure fear. Who are you? He stutters out while falling back on his butt. I am known by a couple names, but my real name is Naruto Uzumaki, he says nonchalantly. Why you mean the T10 tails Naruto use Uzumaki? The man whimpers out, and Naruto just rolls his eyes. He just gets rid of people calling him a fox demon only to get the name 10 tails after the war. Most people realize the difference between him and what is sealed inside him now, but they fear that she might somehow get out. Now everyone looks at him with a slight fear, not that he can't blame them. I mean, the goddess that almost ended the world is inside him after all. Naruto momentarily releases the permanent genjutsu he cast over his eyes, and two red Rinne Sharingan replace the light blue eyes, and the man wets himself. Please let me live, the leader mutters out, and Naruto just glares at him and scoffs. Were you going to give your victims that choice? People like you are so pathetic, Naruto says before flashing through hand signs and saying fire release. Great fireball, and the man quickly is burned to ash. He turns to the other bodies and quickly repeats the process. Sighing, he continues on the road and thinks back to night, his life forever changed. Flashback. Naruto and Sasuke both finally land their hands on Kaguya with Sakura's help, and Naruto can't but help to feel relieved. Finally, it's over, he thought with a small smile. Looking over at Sasuke, he could tell that he felt the same way. However, the seal that they applied to Kaguya was, from what they could feel, inherently different from the seal they were told that the Sage of Six Paths used to originally seal her away. Naruto could feel foreign chakra invading his pathways and fast. He tried to pull his arm away, but it was stuck onto Kaguya. Kaguya, meanwhile, screamed as she felt like parts of her were being ripped away. Naruto, something is happening inside the seal. The chakra you are absorbing is entering in here and going over to Shikaka's bit of chakra and adding to it, Kurama warns him. Do you think that I am absorbing the other Bijuu's chakra? Naruto asks Kurama, who just shrugs at the notion as he has no idea what is happening either. Naruto, what the hell is going on? Sasuke yells at him over Kaguya's screams. Apparently, I am absorbing the other Bijuu's chakra and it's going into my seal. My chakra coils feel like they are on fire. He yells back as the rate of chakra absorption is increasing, causing Naruto to grimace in pain and try to bear through it. Kurama, is there anything you can do about the pain? He pleads to his partner. I am already doing everything I can to make sure you do explode from the sheer volume of chakra coming in, so you just have to bear with it. The first 4 Biju have already reformed. Only a couple more minutes, and it should be done, Kurama tells him, and Naruto just grunts through the pain. After listening to Kaguya's screams for several more minutes and Naruto doing everything he can to not scream as well, Kurama says, I finally got all my chakra back, brat, so it should be done, causing Naruto to breathe a sigh of relief. Alright, it should be Naruto yells as he feels even more chakra going into his coils. This chakra though is much more potent than the rest of the Biju combined, and Naruto nearly blacks out from the pain. Damn it, Kurama, what the hell is happening? Naruto screams in his mind. If I had to guess, you are also absorbing Kaguya's chakra as well, and it seems you are going to seal her away inside you. Kurama tells his host, who is still screaming. Naruto shuts his mouth and grits his teeth as the pain feels overwhelming and looks Kaguya in the eye as she glares at him with nothing but hatred. She tries to pull back her chakra from Naruto, resulting in him feeling even more pain, but he still soldiers on with Sasuke looking at them both in confusion. Dobe, what is happening? Sasuke screams as well as he feels the Six Paths chakra leaving his body forcefully. It seems you are using the Uchiha's Six Paths chakra in order to stabilize the new seal that is being made around your stomach to hold in Kaguya along with the rest of the Biju. Kurama explains to Naruto, who is too busy screaming to notice Kurama even saying anything. After what feels like an eternity to Naruto, the chakra flow finally stops and he falls to the ground with Sasuke only for Kakashi and Sakura to catch them both. Naruto, what the hell happened? Where did Kaguya go? Kakashi asks as he helps Naruto up and lean on his shoulder. Find Zetsu and kill him, Naruto tells Kakashi, whose eyes widen and quickly nods and heads off to destroy that nasty black blob. Sakura is currently healing Sasuke with what little chakra she has left, and Naruto is just groaning in pain. He rolls up his shirt to look down at the seal and sees that around his original seal there are 9 magentas surrounding it. He quickly dives into his mindscape to find out what's happening. Appearing in the sewer hallway, he quickly realizes that its size became much larger, and there are many more pipes running along the side. What the hell happened in here, he thinks, and slowly walks down the hallway. At the end, instead of appearing in a room with Kurama free, he appears in a vast circular room with Kaguya in the middle passed out on the floor, and giant seals array on with 9 lines of kanji running towards 9 different sets of metal bars with a paper tag seal on them. What the hell did Hagomoro Gigi do? Sealed up all of the tailed beasts in me with Kaguya? And why are those lines of kanji running towards the seals? Are they connected? Naruto thinks. Or Kurama, where the hell are you? Naruto shouts into his mindscape. Don't be so loud, Brad, I am right here, he remarks, getting Naruto to look to his right and see Kurama behind a cage again. It seems as if the old man intends for you and us Biju to seal away Kaguya to make sure she never gets free again. Our seals work as limiters on Kaguya's power so that she can be sealed away in you and not have the power to get free, or at least that is what I can reckon. But it looks like we are stuck in the sewer forever now, Kit. You also took the old man's powers that he gave to that Uchiha, for what reason I don't know, but now you are officially the new 10 Tails and Kaguya Jinchuriki. You probably are going to get some fancy new eyes and powers now. Oh, I don't want this. I wanted you all to be free, not stuck guarding a crazy goddess. Naruto shouts angrily. Talk to the old man and get his explanation, Kurama says before stalking away to the back of his cage. He wasn't really in the mood to talk anymore. Sighing, Naruto sends himself outside the mindscape back the dimension they were in. He holds back a grunt of pain from moving his body up and slowly opens his eyes to see what's happening. A gasp draws his attention and he sees Sakura looking at him in confusion and a little fear. And Naruto, what happened to you? And where did you get those eyes? She says a little shakily. What do you mean, Sakura-chan? What's wrong with me? Naruto asks a little worriedly. Gulping, she says, well, your hair turned white, but your eyes, they are like Kaguya's third eye. Sighing, Naruto just stands upright as Kakashi lands right next to them, who raises an eyebrow at Naruto's appearance, and Naruto says, I don't really know what's going on, but the seal Sasuke and I used made me absorb the Biju and Kaguya, making me the 10 Tails Jinchuriki as well as Kaguya's, and I also took away Sasuke's 6 paths chakra. No, I don't know any more about this. Suddenly, they all get summoned back to their home planet and see Hagomoro floating in the center of a giant seals array with all the dead Kages around it. Seeing his dad, he smiles at him, and his dad smiles back uncertainly as he is a little wary of Naruto's new appearance. Turning his attention back towards Hagomoro, he glares at him angrily with his new eyes. What the hell, old man? Naruto shouts, startling everyone and makes Sasuke wake up from unconsciousness. Why the hell did you make me the new 10 Tails Jinchuriki, Kaguya's Jinchuriki, and give me Sasuke's 6 paths chakra? The last part catches Sasuke's attention, and he glares jealously at Naruto. Dobe, I demand you give me back my power. Sasuke shouts as he lifts himself off the ground. Why the hell do you need it? The war is won. Naruto states, confused. Because I want to become Hokage. Sasuke states, getting them all to stare at him like he grew a second head. I will kill all the Kages and anyone else who stands in my way because I finally understand how to achieve peace. Naruto just stares at him, and something inside him snaps. I have defended you and stood by you all this time, no matter if you were being a broody amo on Team 7, defecting to Orochimaru, killing hundreds in the name of revenge, finally killing Itachi, attacking Killer Bee, and helping Madara. The only goddamn good thing you have done is help seal away Kaguya, and you only did that because you knew that she was too powerful for you to take on yourself. Now you are demanding your power back and telling me you will kill the Kages? You are no longer my brother Sasuke, and I cannot keep my promise to Itachi. You're a missing nin and I will treat you as such, so if you don't get out of here right now I will kill you. Everyone stares at Naruto shocked as they never imagined him saying such a thing. Kakashi steps in between the two and says, Mama, let's all just calm down for a second and listen to Hagomoro-san. Any? The two glare defiantly at each other before looking back at Hagomoro. Clearing his throat, Hagomoro says, Naruto, the reason why I did those things was because it was the only way to make sure Kaguya never gets out again. The Biju will make sure she doesn't have enough power because of their seals, and you needed both halves of my chakra to be able to keep living, and have all that power in you. Also, and I am truly sorry about this, Naruto, but because of all the chakra that you have now you are immortal. Naruto's eyes widen and his fists clench as he realizes what this will mean for him. So, you basically sentenced me to watch everyone I care about die, and this also means I can never accomplish my dream to become Hokage, he whispers, and he gets a nod from Hagomoro. I am so sorry, but it was the only way to make sure nothing like this happens again, Hagomoro says sadly. Naruto just starts walking away slowly with tears coming down his face from the group. Dobe, give me back my powers. Sasuke yells again after him and Naruto stops for a moment before vanishing in a Shushin. Flashback ends. Naruto stops walking along the trail and sees the sun going down. He veers off the trail into the trees and sets up camp along with a barrier surrounding him to let him know if anyone approaches. Not that it would really matter, but the shinobi skills have been hardwired into him. He creates several shadow clones and tells them to go hunt, while he sits down next to the fire he made. Naruto thinks about what he has been doing since becoming immortal 2 years ago. He spent his entire first year on empty Maiboku with the toads as he didn't want to return to Konoha. He spent a long time meditating and coming to terms with the fact that he was immortal. The toads helped him through that dark time as they told him what they did as long-lived species, and he really is grateful to them. He also became even more proficient in senjutsu and was able to start filtering away the hatred of the earth and cleansing it by running the nature chakra through his body. During this time, the other occupants of his mindscape had woken up, and were not exactly happy with being stuck back in a cage. After an explanation from Naruto and Kurama about what happened, they reluctantly understood it had to be done, but it still wasn't ideal. Kaguya woke up several weeks later and raged in his mind. Naruto eventually cut off his mental connection to his mindscape and waited for her to calm down, which took several days when she finally went to sleep. After spending his time with the toads, he decided to travel the elemental nations and train as he gained access to pretty much every technique he could think of. Thankfully, his Rinna Sharingan gave him extremely good control of his new chakra reserves, so he didn't have to do those boring control exercises. Using shadow clones, he was able to quickly use each new jutsu, but none of them are close to being mastered. His favorite new jutsu was wood release, as he could grow entire forests very easily, which since he was a sage made him feel good. During his travels, he did go to the various shinobi villages and copy down the jutsus and other scrolls so that he could train with them and eventually use them. He figured they owed him that much for saving everyone. He was broken out of his thoughts when 2 clones approached him with a couple rabbits that they managed to catch, and they started skinning them. "Yo boss, what are you thinking about?" one of the clones asks. "Just about what we having been doing the past 2 years and the training we have done," Naruto says back to them. One thing about Naruto traveling by himself is he often gets in conversations with his clones. He realized that they all are slightly different than him, and can have different thoughts. "Yeah, a lot has happened, but training to learn new jutsus is always awesome," the clone says. "Actually, boss, when are we going to try out the Rinna Sharingan abilities? I mean, we already took all the jutsus we could find from the villages regarding those bloodlines and have a basic understanding of them all, so why not try that out?" "To be honest, I just never thought about it," Naruto says sheepishly. "Yash, dispel yourselves and I will try it right now," he says, and they both dispel, leaving the fire roasting the rabbits unattended. Naruto dispels his genjutsu and says, "Well, the coolest technique Kaguya had was the dimension hopping, so maybe I can try that." He concentrates an enormous amount of chakra to his eyes and says Amanaka, causing him to suddenly appear in a dimension with rainbow colors everywhere, and nothing else as far as he could see. Suddenly he feels like his body is being torn apart just by being there, and he immediately activates his Sage of 6 Paths cloak to cover his body. "Kit, what the hell did you do?" Kurama asks as the pain Naruto felt woke everyone inside his mindscape. "I was trying out Kaguya's dimension hopping technique, and then I am suddenly here and it felt as if this place was going to tear me apart," Naruto says, and all the Biju look through his eyes and sees where he is. "Any ideas on what to do now?" he asks hopefully, and they all shake their heads. Kaguya wakes up and sees what the commotion is all about. "Get out of there now," Kaguya yells, surprising everyone because since her original rant she has stayed quiet. "Why?" Naruto asks. "Because there are extremely strong beings that live here," she shouts at him, and Naruto's eyebrows rise in curiosity. He looks around trying to spot these beings, but he can't find any sign of them. After 10 minutes of searching he gets bored and decides to leave. "Amanaka," he says again, and disappears. 5 minutes later a giant dragon and a small gothic girl approach where he was and look around for the source of that power. For some reason that power felt familiar. Great Red mutters and then shakes his ginormous head and starts doing tricks again, much to Opha's ire. "Baka Red, I will kick you out of here," Opha says as she wanders off. "I definitely need to find that source of power," she thought to herself. Naruto appears in the middle of a forest at night, and looking around he doesn't see any sign of his camp. "Well, great, it doesn't look like I am anywhere that I know," Naruto mused aloud and starts wandering to try and find something he knows. "You're an idiot," Kaguya tells him, causing Naruto to get a tick mark. "And why the hell am I an idiot?" "Because this isn't our original dimension," Kaguya states, simply causing Naruto and the rest of the Biju to become confused. "What do you mean?" he asks her, and she rolls her eyes and sighs. "Try sensing your surroundings," she tells him, like telling a child to do something, causing Naruto to get a little annoyed. Still he takes her advice and sits down to access Sage mode. Immediately getting into Sage mode, the strength of the anger and hatred that nature has takes him by surprise, and he almost loses himself to the voice of nature yelling kill. Quickly getting himself under control, he starts purifying the natural chakra immediately around him to take out some of that anger and hatred that seems to be deep-rooted. After spending 15 minutes on that, he could feel that the hatred and anger in the immediate several-mile vicinity has deceased, and he starts to sense his surroundings. To his surprise, about 10 miles north of his position is a large town. But what's confusing to him is that he can only feel one chakra source in town, and even then, it's a really weak one. Frowning, he sets off toward town. Maybe Kaguya is right, and we really are in a different dimension, Naruto thinks. Don't worry, Naruto-kun, we are right here with you and support you. Matabi purrs out to him, making him smile at her reassurance. Thank you, Matabi-chan. I know I can always count on you and the rest of the Biju, Naruto says with a grateful smile. Quickly arriving to town, his eyes go wide at what he is seeing. The cars, people, technology, and building are so much different than his world. Told you, Kaguya says with a small smirk. So, you just wake up now and decide to start talking to me? Naruto asks curiously. I wasn't sleeping. I was watching your memories, Kaguya tells Naruto, who goes quiet at that remark. Clearly you had a very, very rough childhood. No child should have to go through what you did. I don't need your pity, Naruto whispers in his mind. Why? Why would you ever fight for them after what they did to you? Kaguya asks. I fought for my friends and my dream. I never fought for those people, Naruto replies. Friends? What friends? You knew pretty much nothing about them if you really think about it. They were only comrades in arms, and you rarely saw them. Your dream was to protect the very people that ignored, humiliated, hated, tortured, and raped, Kaguya says before being interrupted by Kurama. Enough, Kaguya. Kurama snarls at her, but Naruto stops walking when he heard what Kaguya says. What do you mean tortured and raped, Kaguya? The only memories I have like that are being beaten by mobs, Naruto says shakily. Kaguya, whose eyes widen in shock that Naruto doesn't remember those events, stays silent. Kurama, you have been with me since the beginning. Tell me Kaguya is making these events up? Naruto pleads, and all the Biju look towards Kurama as they hadn't gone through Naruto's memories. Kurama just stays silent like Kaguya. Kurama! Tell me she is wrong, Naruto yells with tears starting to form in his eyes. Kid, I sealed some memories from your childhood so that you wouldn't have to remember them, Kurama says with a heavy sigh. Why? You had no right. I knew I had blanks after the beatings, but I just assumed I went home and fell asleep. I usually woke up in my bed, Naruto screamed through their mental connection. I want to see them. Unlock them, Kurama, he says while crying in the edge of the forest. Kid, I don't think I. God damn it, unlock them now. Kurama glares at Kaguya before complying to Naruto's demand. Naruto just sits down and remembers scenes from his childhood. He remembers being repeatedly stabbed, skin cut off, beat with iron bars, set on fire multiple times. He remembers as the shinobi that were supposed to watch over him as a kid instead took part. He remembered as he was put under genjutsu of the night the Kyuubi attacked and watching everyone die, and being yelled at that it was his fault. He remembered the countless times this repeated as a kid and no one doing anything. He remembered many men raping him on multiple occasions and some women doing it as well. How they mutilated him, saying that demons didn't deserve to have kids and that no one will ever like him. Naruto remembered it all, the pain, the people, the fear, and the overwhelming anger, and he passed out on the edge of the forest from the memories. All the Biju and Kaguya looked down saddened after seeing what Naruto remembered and felt extraordinarily bad for him. I didn't know that he didn't know, Kaguya whispers to the rest. I am so sorry, Naruto. Kurama just glares at her. That kid will never be the same after today, and it's because of you. I hope you're happy, Kaguya, Kurama says with as much venom as he could into her name. No wonder his mindscape is that of a sewer, Matabi says sadly, and the Biju retreat to the backs of their cages to reflect on what they saw. Kaguya just starts crying into her hands, whispering I didn't know over and over again while kneeling on the floor. Her cries could be heard for a long time after the Biju left her alone. Naruto wakes up when the sunlight first hit his face early in the morning. He sits up in a panic of his surroundings, before realizing that there is no one around him, and he calms down a little bit. He quickly scampers back into the forest away from the town and the people in it. His eyes quickly scanning the forest as he runs away. I have to get away, Naruto repeats in his head as he runs. Naruto! Kaguya shouts in his head, causing him to stop on a dime. Who said that? Naruto thinks a little confused and scared. Take a deep breath and calm down, Kaguya says soothingly, and Naruto does as the voice asks. Quickly, the memories of last night come back, and as well with everything else, Naruto starts examining the situation more like his adult self, and not a scared child. Thanks for that, Kaguya, Naruto says appreciatively. You are welcome. Now come inside to your mindscape, she commands him, and Naruto sits down and leans back on a tree. He dives into his mindscape and sees the sewer layout, and now realizes why it's like that. He walks towards where Kaguya is located and sees her standing and waiting for him. Come here, she says, and Naruto gets suspicious of her actions and narrows his eyes, but doesn't move. Seeing that he isn't going to budge, she says, I am not going to do anything bad to you, Naruto, I promise. I couldn't even if I wanted to. So just come here. Naruto slowly walks toward her and steps into the circle on the floor that Kaguya can move around in. He watches her like a hawk and stops with a good 2 feet of distance between them. He quirks his eyebrow, asking why she wanted this. Kaguya, instead, immediately rushes him, but without any malicious intent, confusing him, which makes her able to wrap her arms around him. He immediately stiffens and thrashes around, trying to get out of the hug and the physical contact, but she just holds on and says, I won't hurt you, many times over and over again before he finally settles down. I am so sorry, Naruto, she says while holding on to him with tears coming out of her eyes. I didn't know. I know we fought and everything, but I would never wish that on anyone. I won't hurt you anymore, I promise. Naruto just starts shaking and he buries his face into her shoulder while crying. They both sit down with Kaguya holding him and Naruto crying his eyes out while sobbing loudly. An hour later Naruto is asleep on her lap, but still extremely tense in case the worst happens, causing her to frown. She absently strokes his hair with a hand while cursing the people that did this to him. She didn't know why she was exactly doing this, as they were supposed to be mortal enemies. Maybe it was the fact that she saw his memories and felt his emotions and how scarred he really was, or how he stood up to her and defeated her for his beliefs. She respected him, and for those villagers to do all of this to a kind boy who has never done anything wrong and never known love was despicable. What are you doing, Kaguya? Kurama growls out. Clearly, I am trying to comfort him, she states as she continues to stroke his hair. And why should I ever believe that? You do know that I am not some crazy lunatic, right? I ate the chakra fruit to create world peace and it worked for a while. However, it all went to hell when my sons tried to give away my chakra. Of course, I am going to try and take it back from them. My son Hagamura was too blind to see the destruction it would cause, she states. As you ruled as a goddess, right? The old man told us stories about how you were worshipped. Kurama scoffs while the other Biju listen on. They worshipped me for my powers. I didn't tell them to do such a thing. Anyways, Naruto has clearly never known love in his life, and I do believe that is a horrible way to live life. And it's not like you ever tried to help him out with that. Hell, you have never even shown him your human form. I loved my sons until they betrayed me, so I am capable of it and can teach it. We may have been enemies once, but enemies can become friends. Is that really so hard to believe? With you, yes it is. If you so much as harm a hair on his head, I will destroy you, Kaguya. Kurama growls out before retreating again back into his cage. Kaguya just looks down at Naruto and whispers, I am stuck with you now, Naruto, so we might as long get along. I promise not to hurt you like that. A small smile settles on his face, and his body slightly relaxes. It's a start, Kaguya thinks to herself. After some time, Naruto opens his eyes in the mindscape to see Kaguya's face looking down at him with an expression he has never seen before on her face, a smile. Beautiful, he murmurs aloud before he realizes it, causing her to slightly blush. He then realizes he is on her lap, and quickly gets off and backs away. Whoa, it's okay Naruto, please calm down, she says gently. I won't hurt you. You just fell asleep and laying in the water isn't exactly comfortable. Nothing else happened. He looks at her suspiciously, looking for any sign she is lying, but slowly nods after finding none. She smiles at him and scoots closer to him, and grasps his hand with her own. He wants to retract his hand away, but she doesn't let him. Naruto, she says, causing him to look at her. I know fighting to the death got us off on the wrong foot, but we are stuck with each other. You have proven that enemies don't have to always stay that way. I know you may not believe me or my motives, so I believe I saw a way to connect in your memories. You fist bumped, and suddenly you understood the other person. Can we try that? He nods his head and he holds out his fist, and she taps hers against it. They both see visions and feelings. From Naruto's perspective, he understands her feelings about wanting her chakra back from her sons and how it won't lead to understanding, and how she just wanted back what she felt was hers when they fought. From Kaguya's perspective, she just reaffirms his feelings now as lonely, scared, betrayed, and angry, while also being confused as he doesn't know what he wants to do. They both pull back their fists and Naruto says, I may not believe what you do about chakra and your method of killing to get it back, but I understand it. I may not know everything about you, Naruto, but I can help you through what you have been through. Can we make a deal? Kaguya says, getting an eyebrow raised in response. I propose the following. I will give up getting my chakra back from you, the Biju, and your former world, if you agree to be my partner and stay in this world and never go back, and neither will I. Why would you make this deal? You have been trying for centuries to get your chakra back? Naruto asks suspiciously. First off, that was Zetsu, a manifestation of my will, yes, but still he had his own conscience, and did things his own way. Secondly, I have also already been sealed away once before and it's extremely boring as I won't ever die and this time around I won't escape, so I'd rather get along with the one person that I can talk to. Thirdly, in this world I don't have to see my chakra used by anyone except you and I am giving you permission, so I don't mind it, Kaguya states logically. Well, that does make sense, Naruto says slowly. He continues to think of a loophole for her to use, but can't find one. How do I know I can trust you? He asks. Kaguya shrugs her shoulders. I guess you don't. But I am going to be stuck here and you ultimately have full control over this place, so I can't do anything to you while you can do anything to me. I just have to place my trust in you, so I hope you can eventually do the same. Naruto nods his head agreeing with her logic, so he extends his hand to solidify the agreement with a handshake, which she accepts and shakes. Naruto gains a small smile on his face, but she could see all the pain and dullness in his eyes still from what he learned. Naruto, I won't betray you or keep things from you, she says firmly, getting a small nod of Naruto's head as thanks. Naruto leaves his mindscape to see what is happening in the real world. Picking himself up off the ground, Naruto looks around and notices that the sun is all the way up in the sky, signifying that it's noon. After thinking of what to do, he decides that he should basically go about his normal routine. He creates 1,000 clones in front of him and starts yelling out orders. Okay, 50 of you create a barrier so that the rest can train and guard the perimeter so that no one can tell what is happening. Make sure the barrier blocks all the energy that we release. I want 200 on wood release, 200 on scorch release, 200 on ice release, 200 on boil release, and 150 on taijutsu. Now go, he says, and they all scatter into their groups and begin practicing after the barrier is put up. What are you going to do, Naruto? Kaguya asks. I am going to go into town and see what I can find out. I might also talk to that chakra user to see if she knows anything, he says as he sets off. A couple minutes later, he arrives back where he woke up, right on the edge of the town. He walks into the town and people start giving him really strange looks. Clearly, his appearance is drawing attention to himself, but he couldn't care less. He liked his black pants, tight orange shirt, and white coat with black flames and 10 tails written on it, and no one was going to get him to change. He approaches a woman of 50 years who is walking down the side of the street. Excuse me, he says, drawing her attention, would you possibly direct me to somewhere where I may find information? A library perhaps? You look like you should still be in school, young one, but your dialect of Japanese is very, very old. It's a mile down this street here on the right, she says, pointing down the road. Naruto thanks her and walks off in that direction. Kit Kurama says. What Kurama? He replies coldly. I was only trying to help you. I may have hated the fact I was sealed inside of you, but no innocent child deserved that, Kurama says. Sighing out loud as he walks down the street, he thinks, I know you were Kurama, and thank you for that, but I had a right to know. Things might have been different if I had, and those sick fucks deserve to die. They might have, or maybe not, and eventually they will die and be put through hell by the Shinigami, but you have a chance now to escape it all and start on a new world. Focus on that and I will help you through everything like you helped me, Kurama says. Yen Naruto-kun. I will help you too, Matabi purrs. Me too. The rest of the Biju say, and Naruto sheds a tear. Thank you guys. You are honestly the best friends a person could ask for. Kaguya was right, haha, I really don't know much about the others back in the elemental nations. I know a lot more you guys than them. Naruto approaches what he assumes is the library and walks in. He goes to the one of the books and grabs it, but realizes that he can't read the kanji as it's too modern for him. Well fuck, he mutters out loud. That could definitely be a problem. Maybe you should find the other chakra user in this case, Kaguya suggests, and Naruto agrees with her decision. He walks outside and uses a shushin to appear on top of a tall apartment complex a little way away. He sits down in his lotus position and immediately goes into sage mode and ignores the hatred. He quickly finds the girl about a half-mile away in a building. Kaneko is in the middle of her history class, slightly bored and thinking of the newest recruit to Rias Peerage Issei Hayadu. She hates perverts, and now she is stuck with one for the rest of her life. Today after school he will find out they are all devils. Suddenly, she feels a wave of chakra wash over her and her cat features almost pop out. Senjutsu, she thinks, and immediately becomes a little scared. Just as fast as it appeared, it disappeared and the bell for lunch sounds. I have to tell Bucho after school, she thinks, and gets up and walks toward her natural eating spot by a tree in the courtyard. Arriving by the tree, she sits down underneath it and tries to calm herself down as she eats her sweets and bento. After a couple minutes, she relaxes and just enjoys being by herself. Yo, she hears from beside her, and she immediately jumps up, spilling her lunch on the ground, and looks at the person with wide eyes, unable to believe that she didn't sense him before. Naruto has been staring down at this small white-haired girl for the past couple minutes, watching her eat. She certainly has a small chakra presence. Almost as if she has never trained it before. It also feels slightly different, Naruto thinks in his head, hoping for someone to give him some answers. I would say that her chakra is extremely unbalanced and much more yin than yang. I don't think she can use any elemental releases, Kaguya replies to him, causing him to do a double take after hearing that. What the hell do you use chakra for otherwise? Just body strengthening? Naruto asks the progenitor of chakra. She could possibly use it to cast genjutsu or something similar, as this is a different world, Kaguya theorizes, and Naruto gives a nod of thanks to the information. He hops down near her and lands silently. Yo, he says with a hand wave and a smile to convey he isn't a threat. She immediately jumps up, spilling her lunch, and looks at him with wide eyes before narrowing them at him. Who are you? She demands. I have several titles, but my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I was wondering if I could ask you a couple questions? He says friendly. She slightly lowers her guard and nods her head, making him smile even more. Awesome. First off, why can only you use chakra? He asks with a confused look. Her eyes immediately widen and she tries to sense him, and to her surprise she feels chakra in him as well, and it was an extremely warm feeling. How is a human able to use chakra? She mutters, and that causes Naruto to knit his eyebrows together. Humans? As in you aren't one? He asks as he is even more confused. She nods her head slightly, and that causes Naruto's as well as everyone's sealed inside him eyes widen. So, what are you then? A yokai, she says, and this leads Naruto to even more questions. Could you explain this to me? I have lived a very secluded life and I don't know that much about the world, he lies, and Kaneko nods her head as she feels that her king will want to meet this strange human. Follow me, she says, and they walk off towards a separate building. On their way, they see a group of 3 boys getting beaten by girls with wooden swords, causing Naruto to chuckle. Perverts, Naruto thinks, and Kaguya's eyes narrow. I hate them. I can't tell you how many I killed for trying to spy on me. Idiots thought they could even when I have the Byakugan, Kaguya says to Naruto, whose sweat drops at that information. Ha ha ha, gee, good thing I am not one, Naruto says with a nervous chuckle, and Kaguya rolls her eyes. I know you are one, Naruto. I saw your memories. However, you don't do anything like peeping, so I guess you are fine. I mean, you are even checking out that girl's type, but right now, Kaguya states, causing Naruto to slightly blush and become embarrassed. They walk into the old school building and Naruto follows the girl, whose name he never even got, and they reach the end of the second floor. She opens the door and reveals a dimly lit room with two other girls in the room. When Naruto sees them, his eyes widen slightly, the only impression he was surprised. The girl standing up, who is around 5 feet 8 inches, had one of the largest pairs of tits he has ever seen. Her body was definitely in good shape, and he could imagine her ass being just as nice as the rest of her body. Her face could entice any male to fall in love with her, and from her demeanor she knew it too. Her long black hair tied together with an orange bow, which he appreciated, went all the way down to her ass. The girl sitting down doing paperwork was just as gorgeous, if not even more so, as the girl standing up. Her crimson red hair falling around her shoulders and her tits almost as large as her friend, he could tell that this girl was a seductress as well. Her face, when she looked up, was flawless, and her blue-green eyes were gorgeous, and any man could get lost looking into them. They also display a high amount of intelligence and cunning, which makes him feel a little uneasy as he prefers straightforward. Meanwhile, the two girls look at the male that Kaneko brought into the room with curious expressions. He is around 6 feet 1 inch with pure white hair, even whiter than Kaneko, and they could tell his body is extremely muscular and well developed. Hell, it didn't like it had an ounce of fat on it. The most noticeable feature were the whisker marks on his cheeks that gave him a slightly feral look, but they could both agree that he is very handsome. His eyes, though, they were a bright blue, but there seemed to be great pain and sadness behind them. Kaneko, who is this? The red-haired girl asked curiously. Bucho, this is Naruto Uzumaki. He came up to me during lunch and asked why I was the only one that could use chakra. I can confirm he is human and has chakra as well, Kaneko says, surprising them both. A human who can use chakra? He would be a perfect fit to join my peerage, Rias thought, and put on her sweetest smile, while also accentuating her assets. She gets up and walks slowly over to him, and she can see that he pleased by her appearance. My name is Rias Gremory, she says, and sticks her hand out, which Naruto grasps and shakes. Hello, Rias, though I have no idea why Kaneko introduced me to you. It's a pleasure to meet you, Naruto says. First name basis already, Naruto-san? She asks teasingly, but fails to get a reaction out of him. I don't do that formal stuff. The only ones who get that from me are the ones that deserve it, and there are few that do. You can call me just Naruto, Naruto says with a wave of his hand. Why don't we sit down? She suggests, and the other girl disappears into another room while Kaneko sits down on one of the couches. Naruto sits on the other, and Rias sits closely next to him, making him very uncomfortable. Why, you mind moving away a little? I recently got an aversion to people being too close, Naruto says with a chuckle to hide how uncomfortable he is. Rias raises an eyebrow as most males only want to get closer to her, not further. She acquiesces to his request and moves to the opposite side of the couch, making Naruto relax more. Inside the seal, Kaguya and the Biju could only watch with a saddened expression as they see how their favorite human reacts now. So, Naruto, I am curious as to why and how you searched out Kaneko and how you can use chakra? Rias asks as the dark-haired girl comes back in with some tea. She places it in front of Rias and Naruto and pours it for both of them. Taking a sip of the tea, he says, wow, this is amazing. Akino Himejima, she says with a smile, and Naruto nods at her. Looking back at Rias, he says, well, you can say the reason why I have searched out Kaneko was because she was the only one I could sense that had chakra in the area. I searched her out in order to talk to her and ask for her help in order to read, as I cannot, and I speak an ancient dialect of Japanese, so I must also update that as well. I was also curious as to why she was the only one that could use chakra. The how was that I used senjutsu. He notices how everyone in the room immediately stiffens upon that fact, and he files it away. I then tracked her down to ask her several questions, and she told me to come here for some reason, so I did, he finishes with a slight shrug of his shoulders. How? Kaneko asks, and Naruto raises an eyebrow, asking her to go on. How are you able to use senjutsu and not go insane? You are talking about all that hatred and anger from the chakra, right? Well, I have dealt with worse, and I can also filter out the negative emotions from chakra, Naruto says, and Kaneko's eyes widen at that fact. Ria's eyes get stars in her eyes and she unconsciously licks her lips. I have to get him in my peerage. I would have such prestige having a human who can use chakra and senjutsu. Naruto, how much do you know about the supernatural? She asks curiously, and Naruto gets confused about that. You mean the gods and stuff like that? Naruto says, getting a nod in return. Honestly, nothing. The only god I know is the Shinigami. I lived very secluded my entire life, he says sheepishly. Well, Naruto, basically everyone in this room is a devil, Ria says with a smile, and wings come out of all of their backs. Once again, Naruto's eyes widen, and so does Kaguya's, and he immediately prepares to get on the defensive. Devils? I can't say I have heard of them before, but I have heard of demons. Are they the same? Also, why don't I sense any chakra from you then? Naruto says suspiciously. No, demons and devils are not the same. Devils also use magic and not chakra, But we do have power, see? She says, and a red and black orb appears in her hand, and Naruto, along with Kaguya and the tailed beasts, try to detect it. After a couple of seconds he gets the signature down, and he can tell that Akino and Rias both have much bigger magical reserves than Kaneko. Still, the amount of power they have compared to him might as well be a drop of water compared to an ocean. No wonder it was hard to feel if he wasn't searching for it. Okay, I can now sense magic, thank you. Is all magic in that form? He asks curiously. No, this is my clan's special ability called the Power of Destruction. It destroys things on a molecular level. Magic can do a huge variety of things, including manipulating the elements, Rias explains, and Naruto nods his head and thinks it's similar to his chakra. So, Naruto, if you want I can give you a brief history lesson on devils. I can give it to you, she says with a smile, and both Kaneko and Akino look at each other knowing where this conversation is going. Sure, I have nothing better to do, he says nonchalantly, acting as if he didn't want every scrap of information available. Real smooth, Kaguya says sarcastically, making Naruto's cheeks slightly turn red. Well, basically the devils, angels, and fallen angels went to war with each other a long time ago, and it was brutal for each side. In fact, the original 4 leaders of the underworld, where devils lived, died. After this the war ended and the devils were undecided on whether or not to continue the war. This eventually reached a boiling point and a civil war broke out consisting of the old faction and anti-Satan faction. The anti-Satan faction eventually won the war, so devils didn't declare war on heaven and the Grigori. However, devils have an extremely long lifespan and the birth rate of devils is extremely small, so one of the new leaders, Mao Beelzebub, made up the evil peace system for high-class devils to reincarnate other species into devils, so that we didn't go extinct and we still had high war potential. Akino and Kaneko are both reincarnated devils. I assume that makes you the high-class devil then? Naruto asks and she nods. Yes, they are part of my peerage. I am the king and they are all my servants. Becoming a devil, you get some great benefits like a long lifespan, the ability to move up in ranking in the underworld, and increased strength and speed. Many high-ranking males even create harems. You also get the protection of the Gremory clan as well if you are in my peerage. The downsides are that our enemies become your enemies and that you become weak to light energy and the sun. So, Naruto, would you like to become part of my peerage? She asks hopefully while making sure she looks as attractive as possible. Naruto stares at her for a good 5 seconds before he bursts out into laughter, confusing the 3 girls in the room. Recovering himself and wiping away a tear, he says, not a chance in hell I'd become a slave. But that had to be the nicest way anyone has asked me to become one. You know, Naruto, it can be pretty dangerous out there by yourself and you are trespassing on my territory, even if it is on accident, Rias states, causing Naruto to stop laughing. Deactivating his genjutsu on his eyes, he stares at her intimidatingly with his red Rinna Sharingan, and each girl had their jaws slightly open on seeing his eyes. I really hope that wasn't a threat, Rias says. I assure you I am more than able to defend myself from any threat, Naruto says with a slight edge in his voice. Kaneko and Akino both go on guard after seeing his eyes and hearing his voice. And no, not at all, Naruto. I was merely informing you, Rias says with a slight stutter while still looking into his eyes. May I ask what is with your eyes? Putting back up his genjutsu and relaxing, causing Akino and Kaneko to relax too, he says with a smile. Let's just say that it's a family trait and leave it at that. I would like your help or one of your subordinates to help me in learning to read in this language, since I will be staying in town for the foreseeable future, and access to books about the different factions along with whatever you have on Yukai and the Shinigami, Naruto says. And what would I get out of this? Rias says while crossing her arms under her breasts. I can teach Kaneko how to use chakra, as I can tell that she never trains in it with her low reserves, Naruto says with a nod of his head. Kaneko immediately nods her head at Rias, saying she would like that, especially if she can learn how to filter out the hate in senjutsu. Rias nods her head, as any help in that would make Kaneko much more powerful, which she will need in the future. I can agree to those terms. I can have all those books for you tomorrow morning if you want to stop by here and grab them. I believe the Shinigami is part of the Shinto religion, but her name is something different, she says, causing Naruto's eyes to widen. That was a woman? God, she is one scary woman then, Naruto thinks with a shiver. Great. I can start training Kaneko right now or tomorrow, Naruto says, and he puts on a smile that sends pleasant shivers down Akino's spine. I think tomorrow would be best, as we have a new devil to introduce to the group today. You might as well wait around and introduce yourself to them as well. We skipped the last couple periods of the day, so they should be here shortly, Rias says. Naruto nods his head and sips his tea while waiting for the others, while thinking over the information and discussing it with his tenants. So, what do you guys/girls think? I think you handled that about as well as it could go. We will learn a lot over the next couple days and see what these devils are capable of. Kaguya states. I reluctantly agree with Kaguya. The only thing we can do now is be patient and learn, Kurama states. I want to kill something. Shikaka states, getting groans from everyone. Can you think of anything else, you stupid Tanuki? Kurama roars back. I wouldn't mind a decent fight and Naruto using some lava release techniques, Son Goku states hopefully. I am not fighting anyone yet. Next fight I get and I will use lava release, Son, Naruto says. Entering the room are 2 boys, both 17 years old. One is around 5 feet 8 inches with a wiry frame, but it's all muscle with blonde hair and a small mole underneath his left eye. He clearly has fangirls with his looks and seems to be a perfect gentleman. The other Naruto recognizes from the kendo beating. He is 5 feet 9 inches with average looks and a body that screamed that he had never worked out in his life. His eyes are glaring lecherously at the girls in the room with a small amount of drool coming out his mouth. Pervert, Kaguya says with a hateful glare. Kiba looks curiously at Naruto and looks to Rias. Who is this Bucho? This is Naruto Uzumaki, and he will be helping train Kaneko for the foreseeable future, Rias tells the blonde and the brunette. The blonde politely bows and says, hello Naruto-san, my name is Kiba Yuto. Do you by chance train in the sword? I have dabbled, but I can't claim to be a master, he says with a shrug of his shoulders. Is sword fighting a big thing? He asks. High in the supernatural world it is, Kiba says with a little sweat drop, and Naruto makes a mental note to practice kenjutsu to make sure he doesn't ever get caught off guard. Well, I better go practice that then. See you all later. Kaneko, be here at 5 a.m. tomorrow so we can get a morning spar in to see what you need to improve on, and I can plan for it after school, Naruto says while walking out the door. Wait, Naruto, Rias says, causing him to turn his head around. Where are you staying? Well, I have no money, he says, making them all sweat drop, so I will just stay in the woods. Nonsense, please stay with me, Rias says as she wants to figure out the mystery of this man, but Naruto shakes his head. I appreciate it, but no thanks. Sleeping near people I don't know makes me really uncomfortable, he says, and a sad, painful expression quickly passes through his eyes that Rias notices. Well, I am off, he says before disappearing in a shushin, leaving everyone in the club room bewildered. Outside in the forest behind the school, Naruto creates 50 clones of himself. Alright guys, spread yourselves throughout the town and the landscape and let's get to working on purifying the natural energy here. They quickly disperse, leaving Naruto alone, and he takes up the lotus position. He slows his breathing rate and begins to infuse the nature chakra with his own and starts stripping it of its hate. It's a slow, arduous process that takes him about an hour in order for him to feel the hate in his area finally go away. Opening his eyes, he sees the animals surrounding him and feels the birds on his shoulders. This was truly the first time he felt relaxed since the re-emergence of his memories. He looks up and notices Kaneko looking at him from several feet away with cat ears and a tail sticking out. Is that what you are going to teach me? She asks. Maybe later, but not now. You need much more chakra in order to do it safely, Naruto replies. Can continue to use senjutsu? It feels really warm and comforting. That's originally how it always felt until this world messed it up beyond belief. It took an hour to purify just several square miles. The way Mother Nature is treated here disgusts me. I don't have a problem using it a little longer. Just please don't get any closer, Naruto says before again absorbing the nature chakra and stripping it of the little amount of hatred and anger left in it. You are the first sage I know of that can do this, Kaneko says, which makes Naruto raise an eyebrow. I guess this world doesn't have any true sages, then he replies. Maybe. Why don't you like people near you? She says, and Naruto flinches slightly. Past experiences, and that's all I am going to say on it, he says sternly. Would you mind if I go to my cat form and curl up next to you? She asks. No, I don't think so, he answers, and she transforms into a tiny white kitten with golden eyes. She walks to him and curls up in his lap while he continues to take in nature chakra. They stay like that for a long time. Several hours later, Kaneko wakes up from her cat nap and realizes she is still in her cat form. Looking around, she can see that she is still in Naruto's lap and that he is still meditating and cleaning the natural energy. She feels the extremely warm chakra wash over her again and again as he takes in the nature chakra and expels it in its pure form with a touch of his own mixed in. This is even better than sweets, Kaneko thinks, as she continues to bask in the feeling. She slowly stretches out on his lap and the warm energy disappears, although she can still feel it inside Naruto trapped. She unconsciously starts rubbing against him, trying to get that warm feeling to come back out to no avail. Kaneko, I think it's time for you to go home as it's late, and you need your rest for tomorrow, he says with a smile. She slowly gets up and walks away from Naruto, who, realizing that she is standing next to her clothes, gets the message. I will just leave you here then, and be back tomorrow morning, he says, and he disappears with a shushin, leaving Kaneko in the forest alone. The sun hadn't even risen yet when Kaneko reaches the occult clubhouse. She sees Naruto in front of the building with the same clothes on waiting for her while tapping his foot. Barely on time, he mutters when he sees her coming towards him. Alright, I am going to put my hand on your shoulder, and we are going to go to my training ground, alright? He says, getting a nod. To Kaneko it felt as if everything was suddenly a blur, and they then appeared in the middle of a forest. Her stomach became very queasy, and she quickly ran to a tree and threw up. Sorry about that, I forgot about that side effect the first several times you travel at that speed, Naruto says sheepishly, and she glares at him. Naruto creates 50 clones and they set out immediately to purify the nature chakra of the area again. Seeing Kaneko's curious expression, he says, I can clone myself. They are going to purify the natural energy. Now spar with me. They both get into a basic taijutsu stance, and she charges at him, and all Naruto can think is so slow. He waits for her to get close and she throws a punch at him. He blocks, but is surprised when it has more force behind it than he thought, like a chunin using chakra to hit harder. She keeps trying to hit him, but with her basic taijutsu and his skills she could never hope to land a solid punch. She overextends on a punch and Naruto makes her pay for it by delivering a devastating punch in her opinion, just an average punch in his, to her stomach and sends her sprawling away and hit the ground. That's enough, he says as she slowly gets up off the ground. Your first problem is that you are extremely slow. The second is that your taijutsu is very basic and I don't see a real style to it. Finally, you don't use chakra at all. No offense, but do you train? He says, getting a glare. Yes, Naruto-sensei, she says. Well, we are certainly changing how you do it. First thing we have to do is increase your speed and stamina. So he says as an ink bottle and brush. I am going to apply a gravity seal to you. Lie down and I am going to put it above your heart. And yes, it has to go there. She lies down and takes off her shirt, while keeping a careful eye on Naruto to not do anything perverted. Naruto, however, gets slightly uncomfortable being near her like this, so he quickly applies the seal and backs away as fast as possible. Now channel a small amount of chakra there, he says, and she does so and immediately feels like a ton of weight bore down on her, and her knees slightly wobble before steadying. You are going to keep this on from now on. If you need to take it off for a real fight, then just channel a little chakra to it, and it will release. The only thing we are doing is training your body until you get up to level 4 and can move easily under that. Channel chakra to your limbs to make it easier to move. It will also help you increase your reserves a little as well. Okay, she says as she starts to try and do what Naruto said with her chakra. But it's very hard for her, and she is only somewhat managing it. Alright, now just start running and don't stop for the next couple hours, Naruto says as he takes up his lotus position to access Sage mode. He feels the nature chakra enter and feels the hatred. But it's less than what it was the other day, meaning the nature chakra around this town is slowly getting better. A couple hours later, Kaneko returns from her run and falls down panting with sweat rolling off of her body, and Naruto just opens his eyes as he could sense her running for the past 2 hours. Good job, Kaneko. Now let's go back. He grabs her shoulder again, and they are transported back in front of the clubhouse. Kaneko, fortunately, doesn't throw up this time, but does become disoriented. They walk into the club room and Kaneko immediately heads for the shower, and doesn't even say anything to Rias. Is she okay? Rias asks. She is fine, just extremely tired. She should definitely take a nap before training in the afternoon. Now can someone teach me how to read? I believe that Akino has first period free. This could take a while though, Rias warns him. Don't worry, it won't. The kanji is different, and so is the grammar structure, but I can understand some words. I give it a couple weeks and I will be perfectly fine. You know, if you were a devil you could understand all languages immediately, Rias says, trying to convince him to join her. Not worth it, Rias. Do you have those books? Yes, Akino is grabbing them now to help with your studies. Akino walks into the room holding 10 books stacked on top of each other, and she places them on the coffee table in between the couches. She sits down and pats the couch next to her. I come sit next to Akino-sensei, Naruto-kun, she says with a smile on her face that makes Naruto very nervous. Listen, Akino, I appreciate you doing this. But let's make sure there is some room between us, he says as he sits down near her, but definitely with plenty of space between them. He looks down at the books and grabs the top one, when Akino slides next to him and grabs his arm. Naruto immediately stiffens and looks her in the eye, and all Akino can see is pure fear. He shoves her off roughly and quickly jumps back near the door ready to run. Rias and Akino both look at him in shock as they can see that Naruto is clearly not acting like himself from their limited time knowing him. Calm down, Naruto. Take some deep breaths, Kaguya says to him, making his heart beat slightly lower, and the fear in his face slowly melt away. Naruto, are you okay? Rias asks. Why yes, sorry about that, but please don't do that again. I don't want to accidentally hurt someone, he says a little shakily. Sorry, I didn't know you would react that way, Akino says in a gentle way, completely opposite of her normal teasing way. Just don't do it again, and we will be fine, Naruto says, calming himself down completely. He sits back down near Akino, but with some definite space between them. What happened to make him react like that? Both Rias and Akino think to themselves. Kaneko comes out of the bedroom with the shower looking like the Walking Dead. Butcho, I am taking a nap, she says, and goes back into the room and falls asleep. Naruto just chuckles and Rias just shakes her head and walks out to go to class on time and tells Sona that Kaneko is going to be late. Akino and Naruto start their lesson, but Akino can't help but sneak glances at him, curious as to why he would ever act that way to her. Time skip 2 days later. Kaneko and Naruto get back from their afternoon training session and walk into the club room only to find Rias and Issei fighting. They took her, Butcho. We have to go get Asia from those fallen angels, Issei shouts at her. Issei, she is part of the church. In case you forgot, we are devils. They are our natural enemy, Rias says exasperatedly at her new pawn. Then let me leave your peerage. I don't care about any of that, as Asia is innocent, and she is my friend. I am going after her regardless of anything else, he says angrily. The church is enemy territory, my pawn. Now Akino and I have important business to attend to, she says as they teleport out of the room. Issei starts storming out of the club room and Kiba says, I am coming with you, getting Issei to look at him with a grateful expression. He looks at both Kaneko and Naruto with hope in his eyes. I can't let you two go off by yourself, she says with a monotone, tired voice. I haven't seen a fallen angel yet, plus maybe I will get an actual fight or something, Naruto says, and all the biju in him gets slightly bloodthirsty. Remember to use lava release, Naruto-san, Goku says. I want to crush and kill something. Shikaka says. Can you idiots shut up? Clearly he will just use my all-killing ash bones, Kaguya says with a smile on her face. I actually don't even know how to use that kaguya, he says to her, getting her to sweat drop and the Biju to snicker at her. Since they have nothing better to do, they have been talking the past couple days and the Biju are starting to like kaguya a bit. It helps that she is different than what the Sage of Six Paths said she was like. Well, I will just have to teach you, kaguya says with a slight stutter and cursing herself for it. Since Naruto learned of his sealed memories, she is the only one that can touch him without him completely freaking out. If she was honest with herself, she really liked holding the blonde. I would appreciate that. Those bones almost killed me too many times to count, Naruto says back to her, and it causes her to slightly frown. She doesn't like remembering trying to kill him. Naruto grabs onto both Issei's and Kiba's shoulder, and Kaneko holds onto him, realizing what he is about to do. He uses a Shushin before they have a chance to say anything and appear immediately in front of the church. Issei proceeds to throw up and Kiba gets very queasy. Kaneko, however, is used to it by now and really doesn't feel the effects anymore. You should deactivate your gravity seal, Kaneko, Naruto warns her, and she does and instantly feels 3 times lighter. What the hell was that? Issei asks while his face is still a shade of green, and Kiba nods his head in agreement with his question. A quick way to travel. Now let's go, Naruto says and walks toward the entrance with Kaneko right behind him. The other two follow slowly as they are still slightly disoriented. Shikaku, start infusing a part of your chakra into the ground and have the sand follow underneath me so that I can use it whenever. Make a pretty large amount of sand. Naruto thinks and Shikaku instantly starts flowing his chakra through Naruto's huge chakra coils and into the ground. They walk into the entrance and see 12 exorcists waiting for them, and one of them looked extremely deranged with white hair, his tongue sticking out, an insane look in his red eyes, and sending his bloodlust at Naruto's group, trying to intimidate them. Please, Kurama sent 100x this amount to me daily for many years. Like that can scare me, Naruto chuckles in his mind while Kurama hears him regrets his past actions. He was just another source of his misery as a child and didn't try to help him. Naruto looks over and sees Kiba and Kaneko could handle it, but Issei looked extremely pale. What do we have here? 4 shitty devils for me to kill, Fried says, and Naruto snorts. Not a devil, you lunatic, he says. I don't really give a flying fuck, he says with his tongue swinging and his eyes looking deranged. Clearly, you are a devil lover, so allow me to kill you. He pulls out a gun and shoots several bullets at Naruto, who just stays stock still while the rest scatter. As the bullets approached, a wall of sand appears in front of him and catches the bullets, making everyone's eyes raise. What sacred gear is that? Fried asks, and the rest look on confused as well. Not a scared gear, Naruto says and sends a huge amount of sand to capture the men in front of him. Too startled to react, all the exorcists except Fried get caught and quickly wrapped up in sand. This might be a little gruesome, but it was one of Gaara's favorite techniques, Naruto says while the excommunicated exorcist looks on with anger and a slight amount of fear. Sand release. Sand waterfall funeral, Naruto says and closes his hand on his outstretched arm, and a shower of blood came out of each pile that contained a person and everything. Inside the church was immediately covered in blood except for Naruto, who used the sand to block it. Kiba, Issei, and Kaneko all throw up, and Fried looks around in slight awe and definite fear. Yes. That was awesome. All that blood, Shikaku shouts. No wonder Gaara was a bloodthirsty maniac, Naruto thinks with a sweat drop, and everyone else nods their head in agreement. Get that crazy priest, Kaguya says, snapping his focus back to the task on hand. Well, you shitty priest, today was your unlucky day, Naruto states calmly. He sends another sand wave after him, but he continues to dodge and slightly impresses Naruto with his dodging skills. Naruto sends yet another sand hand after him, and after 20 more seconds of dodging, the sand grabs his leg and throws him down into the sand, completely capturing him. Naruto, try a combination of scorch release and sand like you have been practicing, Kaguya says, and Naruto nods at the suggestion. Sand, scorch release, sand mummification, Naruto says, and he touches the sand at his feet, and a second later steam comes out of the sand where Fried was. What did you do to him? Issei says shakily, very scared of Naruto now. The sand moves away from Fried, and all they see that is left is a mummified body clearly in mid-scream. All three were suddenly very aware that Naruto was much stronger than them. I have to say that worked out very well, Kaguya mused inside the seal. Maybe I should work on adding the scorched chakra to my sand all the time, this way they die immediately once caught. It is chakra intensive though, Naruto says, getting a deadpan expression from all the Biju and Kaguya. Cough, that was supposed to be a joke, he says a little self-consciously. Anyhow, it's another thing to learn. I can't believe I didn't know all these techniques for chakra existed. They are very beneficial, Kaguya says. Yeah, you really only used your Rinne Sharingan, Taijutsu, and bones when we fought. I doubt I would have survived if you knew how to do these, Naruto says while imagining Kaguya using some of these techniques and shuddering. Kaguya again gets a frown and makes a mental note to ask Naruto to not bring up that time anymore. So, are you going to still stand there or head to go save your friend? Naruto drawls out, snapping them out of their shock. Why yes, we should do that, Kiba says, and Kaneko goes over to the altar and pushes it out of the way, revealing a door leading to the basement. Naruto just whistles on his way down carefree while some sand follows along with him. The three devils look at each other before going down behind the sand. Safe to say they all have a healthy fear of the stuff after seeing what could be done with it. They finish walking down the steps and appear in a giant underground room and past around 40, what Naruto assumes to be ex-priest. He sees a cute blonde girl in nun attire chained up and a 21-year-old beauty with minimal clothing and black wings grabbing something green from the nun's chest. Asia Issei shouts out desperately, and the fallen angel laughs out victoriously. What did you do, Rainer? Yes, finally I have twilight healing. Now no one can defeat me, she says, and Naruto does a quick check of her magic levels, finds that it feels slightly different than devil magic, and starts bursting out laughing. Drawing her attention, she snarls out, what's so funny, devil? Calming down, he says, first off, a tool doesn't make you strong. Second off, you have pitiful magical reserves, and while your body is appeasing to the eye, it doesn't have any signs of hard work. Thirdly, I am not a devil. He takes a step forward to all the exorcists and flips through several hand signs, and Son Goku lends him a tiny amount of his chakra, and he says lava release, lava field, and stomps his foot on the ground. In front of him the ground starts cracking and shaking slightly, and a second later geysers of lava come out of the ground and completely burn all the exorcists to death in front of him. After the technique is done, the entire 30 yards between Naruto and the three devils and Rainer and Asia is covered in lava. What the fuck was that? Issei yells, even more scared of Naruto now. Rainer was shaking in fear after that display of power. She takes to the air and creates two light spears in her hands. She throws them both at Naruto, and his sand comes up and intercepts them. I was really hoping for an actual fight here, Naruto says, disappointed. Do we need the twilight healing thing from her? He questions the group and they nod their heads. Kiba and Issei seemed very on guard against him, and he rolled his eyes at that. Same shit I dealt with my entire childhood, he thought. Kaneko didn't seem on guard, but more in awe of what he could do with chakra. Naruto shoots multiple sand hands at her while she was trying to fly around in the enclosed space and swiping at them with light spears. Finally, after a minute, one grabbed her arm holding her in place, and the rest quickly wrapped her up and she fell next to Asia. Naruto floats on over to her with his gravity powers, and the Kiba and Kaneko fly over with Kiba holding onto Issei. Naruto looks Rainer in the eyes when he lands and sees the pure fear and anger in her eyes directed at him. Seeing it again for the 1000th time doesn't have any effect whatsoever on him, and he says, I am going to release some of the pressure the sand has on you, and you are going to nicely hand me those rings. Any funny movements and I will crush you. Rainer nods and moves her hands with difficulty through the sand and drops the rings in Naruto's hand. He hands them over to Kaneko, who then grabs Asia and takes off to the stairs, and Kiba does the same thing with Issei. Naruto turns around to follow them when the fallen angel says, please don't kill me. I don't want to die. Meanwhile, Rainer couldn't believe that she was forced to beg this human. Yes, she could tell he was human this close by, for her life. She was a fallen angel, damn it. But if it meant she could live for now, she would do it. Naruto holds out his fist and says, bump it with your own. Rainer, who is extremely confused by the request, does so, and immediately strange visions flash before her eyes of strange humans using crazy powers. Naruto, however, sees much more than she does and can tell Rainer has both an equal amount of good and bad in her. What does everyone think? Should I spare her? Naruto asks. Well, powerful people always have attendants. You could make her yours. Kaguya suggests with a shrug. How would I make sure she remains loyal though? Naruto asks. Tsukuyami should do the trick, Kaguya says. Okay, it's worth a shot. Naruto looks her in the eyes and deactivates his genjutsu over his eyes, getting a gasp from the fallen angel. Tsukuyami, Naruto whispers, and all of a sudden, the fallen angel finds herself in a world with a mirror as a floor, black clouds, and a red sky with Naruto in front of her with those red ringed eyes staring at her. Where are we? She demands as she suddenly finds herself free. We are here, in my realm, where I am God, to determine if you are going to become my attendant or not, Naruto states. I am a fallen angel. I am not serving some pathetic human, she sneers as she feels more confident. We will see how you feel about that in a few minutes, he says, and he snaps his fingers. Rainer now finds her wrists and ankles bound by rope, and she tied to two vertical posts, and she is hanging in the air. She sees Naruto in front of her looking at her with a beautiful woman who has horns and 3 eyes. How long do you think she is going to last, Kaguya? Naruto asks the woman with a curious expression. I doubt over 2 minutes, before she can't take it anymore, Kaguya says dismissively. What the fuck are you two talking about? Rainer yells out at them. How long you are going to last during the torture, of course, Naruto says, making Rainer gulp. I told you I was God in here, and I really meant it. For the next 24 hours, you will feel despair and untold amounts of pain. Suddenly, Rainer could feel 2 large hands wrap around her wings, and she starts freaking out. She tries to break free or summon her magic, but both attempts failed. She feels the hands start pulling on her wings, and she lets out a scream as she feels them torn off and looks down to see them on the ground. The next second she feels her wings back on her back, and she sees another copy of her next to her tied up. The same process repeats, and she feels even more pain. Tears start flowing down from her eyes. Another second she sees 5 copies of her. Then 10. Then 100. She lost count of how many times she had felt her wings get ripped off and see them on the ground. It was destroying her psyche, but she felt she had been here forever, so she knew it had to be over soon. The tears had stopped a long time ago, and now she was just trying to feel as little pain as possible until it was over. She would show that woman and human that she could last more than 2 minutes, After what had to be the 1000th time feeling her wings ripped off and her screaming, she hears only 23 hours 59 minutes and 59 seconds left, and her eyes get as wide as they possibly could. All that pain in a measly 1 second. She couldn't believe it. It took only 5 more seconds for her spirit to finally break. Naruto and Kaguya appear back in front of her, and she throws herself to the ground begging them to stop, and she will be his servant, slave, sex toy, anything to stop her from feeling more pain. The only thing I want is a loyal attendant, nothing more. I won't make you do anything deplorable, as I find people who do that sickening, Naruto tells her, and she quickly nods, her head in agreement. Naruto, would you mind leaving Rainier and myself here for a second so I can talk to her alone? Kaguya asks, and he shrugs and leaves them. Kaguya looks at Rainier and brings the full weight of her power bearing down on her, making Rainier feel like she was at the bottom of the ocean. That was how crushing the pressure was. Azazel was nothing compared to this woman. Rainier, from now on Naruto owns you. Don't make any mistake about that. Whatever he wants, you will do, or I will make you feel like the pain you just felt was nothing. Do I make myself clear? Kaguya says sternly while letting up her pressure slightly so Rainier could manage to barely nod her head while on the ground. Naruto has had a very hard life up until now, and your job is to make it easier for him no matter what it is. Naruto's needs should be the first, last, and only thing on your mind every single day. Ever stray from him and nothing will save you. Now say nothing of this little speech and be a good obedient slave for Naruto for the rest of your life, Kaguya says, and Rainier nods again. Kaguya mentally calls out for Naruto to cancel the jutsu, and they find themselves in the same position a second later after Naruto said those words. He unwraps the sand from Rainier, and she immediately bows down to him in a submissive manner with her head on the ground. Get up, Rainier, we have to leave now, Naruto says as he floats over the lava, and she flies right behind him, completely obedient to him now. They walk up the stairs and find Issei crying over Asia's body with Kiba and Kaneko looking on sadly. When they look over and see Rainier behind Naruto, they immediately get into defensive positions. Naruto, what the hell are you doing with her? Issei says angrily, and his arm glows and a red gauntlet covers it. She is now my subordinate, an attendant. Do not attack her, Naruto states, and Issei angrily charges at her with his fist held high. Sand quickly wraps him up to the neck and prevents him from moving, and Issei suddenly gets extremely scared. Naruto, what are you doing? Kiba says as a sword suddenly appeared in his hand, and Kaneko circles around to Naruto's right. Would you all calm down? She is now with me, and if you attack her I will have to respond. She won't attack any of you anymore, Naruto says with a sigh. She killed me and Asia. Issei shouts from his sand coffin. You are still alive and now a devil, so you aren't dead, and Rias is going to revive her as well. Right, Rias? He says and looks at the doorway to see Akino, and Rias eyeing the situation cautiously. I would like you to release Issei, Naruto. And yes, Asia has Twilight Healing, which is a rare sacred gear and would be a great addition to my peerage. Still, that fallen angel needs to be punished for what she did on my territory, Rias says, trying to put authority in her voice. I have already punished her, and that will be all. Now Issei, I am going to release you. If you ever try to hurt Rainier again, I will crush you. The same promise goes to you all as well, Naruto says in a very serious voice. Kaguya, meanwhile, found that commanding voice sending pleasant shivers down her spine. The sand wrapped around Issei falls down, and the tension decreases somewhat. Thank you for defending me, Naruto-sama, Rainier says with a bowed head, which makes everyone raise an eyebrow at that. Now we are leaving. I will be responsible for Rainier. Rias, our deal is still in agreement, and I will see you in the morning, Kaneko. Come on, Rainier. We have a lot to discuss, Naruto says as he walks out of the church with her behind him. After they leave, Kiba and Kaneko find the ability to breathe, and Kiba falls to the floor on a knee. Kiba, what's wrong? Are you alright? Rias asked worriedly. Bibucho and Naruto is extremely strong, Kiba says, and Issei nods in rapid agreement. He mummified, freed, burnt 40 people to death with lava, and crushed 11 to death with sand. It's why all this blood is everywhere, and why we are covered in it, Issei shouts in an extremely scared tone, making Rias raise her eyebrow in surprise, and Akino gets a blush on her face. He can control both sand and lava? And he has those eyes? Is it a sacred gear? Rias wonders aloud. No, Bucho, Kaneko says, making them all look at her. Somehow he can use chakra to do all these things. I bet he can do even more with it. Should we contact your brother? Akino asks as Naruto is a powerful unknown. No, I can handle Naruto. He has been friendly, if a little distant, up until now, and he didn't hurt any of us, only told us to not attack Rainier. I think it's fine for now, but we should tell Sona about him. Plus, when I sense his power I can't really feel anything, so he can't be that powerful, Rias says. Now let's get started on reviving our newest peerage member, Rias says with a smile. Naruto and Rainier make their way through the forest in silence until they come upon Naruto's camping ground. Is this where you live, Naruto-sama? She asks, though inwardly she is frowning. Yes, as I just recently arrived here and had no money, I have been living in the forest, Naruto says nonchalantly. He creates several clones, which Rainier is surprised by, and sends them out to get food and firewood. Here, sit down with me, Rainier. Now that we are traveling together, I would like to get to know you. I realize that the last people I knew I never really got to know them, and I want to rectify that this time around, Naruto says with a soft smile to try and comfort her. She hesitantly nods and sits down near him on a log while the clone starts a fire with a small fire jutsu. What are your likes, dislikes, and dreams, Rainer? Naruto says. Well, Naruto-sama, she begins, but he holds up his hand to stop her. When we are alone you may call me just Naruto, as I don't like formalities that much. Okay, Naruto, she says hesitantly, as if afraid this might be a trap. Now, please continue, he says with a smile. Well, I guess I like powerful people, bads, and training. I dislike smelling bad, being weak, and rapists. My dreams now are to serve you however best I can and to become strong, Rainer says, a little embarrassed as she has never done anything like this before. Naruto nods his head at her introduction. My full name is Naruto Uzumaki, though I have different titles. I like ramen, training, my precious people, orange, and ramen. I dislike rapists, Konohagakure, and people that don't like my precious people or ramen or orange. Currently, I don't have an exact dream per se, but my goal right now is to learn about the world and help purify the natural energy, as it's extremely hateful, he says with a sad smile and pain in his eyes. Are you okay, Naruto? Rainer asks. Just thinking of some painful past memories, Rainer, nothing to trouble yourself with. Now would you like me to train you? I could help you reach your potential. There is no need to trouble yourself, Naruto-sama. I have only had one pair of wings for an extremely long time now, and it's my own problem to figure out, she says while looking down. Nonsense, Rainer. I have no problem helping you get strong. I really don't have much to do and I am immortal. You probably don't know how strong I really am, but you can assume that I am the strongest being you have ever met. Even stronger than the woman with horns and 3 eyes? Rainer asks and Naruto nods his head. She tries to sense his power, and is surprised to find that she couldn't feel it. She knew that apparently, those that are really weak couldn't sense people who are that much stronger than them, but she had never known if that was true or not, as she never met someone like that. How strong are you? She asks with a slight waver of her voice, but at the same time she couldn't help be partly attracted to him. It's true that to supernatural woman power is a huge turn on. Comparing your power to mine would be like comparing a drop of water to an ocean, he says truthfully, and her eyes widen at that comparison. Don't worry, with training you can reach your potential, though you probably won't ever be on my level. We can start tomorrow, and you'll train alongside Kaneko as well. She nods her head and is suddenly very aware that she is but an ant to people like him. Why did you spare me? I am nothing compared to you. She asks meekly. To be honest, I didn't know what to do with you, and Kaguya, the woman you met, suggested that you become my attendant, as she said that powerful people have them. I did the fist bump with you to make sure there was good in you and found there was a surprising amount of good, and you could be saved. Therefore, I decided to take her up on her suggestion. You obviously wouldn't have been receptive to that, so she suggested using Tsukuyami and break your prideful will. That's why, he says with a shrug of his shoulders, and Rainer nods her head. I promise I won't give you a reason to regret that decision, Naruto-sama, and I would very much appreciate taking up your offer of training, she says and bows her head towards him. They both sit in silence for a little bit, watching the fire, and the meat that a clone put by the fire while they were talking cook. As they begin to eat, Rainer decides to ask Naruto a question. How do you know that extremely strong woman? It all started when she tried to kill me, Naruto says as he tells Rainer about their fight and how he and Sasuke eventually beat her. The next morning Naruto wakes up in his tent and groans. Last night as he slept he was in his mindscape for a couple hours talking to Kaguya and the Biju. Kaguya told him that she didn't like the fact that he brought up her trying to kill him several times yesterday, as she gets saddened remembering trying to kill her friend. Naruto told her he didn't care anymore, but she still insisted that he stop. Naruto was confused, but chalked it up to one of those things he would never understand about women. He tries to get up, but feels a weight on his shoulder. Looking over he sees Rainer laying down on top of him in her underwear, and he immediately stiffens and starts freaking out mentally. What the fuck? He screams scared in his mind, and Kaguya immediately wakes up and sees what he sees and her eyes widen. Naruto, clamp down. She won't hurt you. Calm down, she says sternly but as kindly as possible. She knows that he is going to have to get over this eventually, but it's going to take a lot of effort. Naruto doesn't lash out, but he still is coiled up extremely tight. He immediately does a kawarimi with a log and is outside the tent, and his heart is racing. Rainer comes out moments later in her underwear, and a confused expression on her face. Why was there a log where you were? She asks. No, the real question is why you were on my chest like that. I really didn't like that at all, Naruto says sternly. You were screaming out in your sleep and freaking out, so I was trying to comfort you. I am sorry, Rainer says looking down at the ground. I appreciate it, but I really don't want you to ever do such a thing again. Just let it happen, Naruto says seriously. See, can I ask about what you were having a nightmare about? Rainer says while looking at his face. He looks down to his feet and whispers, I didn't have the best childhood. It's why I don't like strangers touching me or being in crowds. Let's leave it at that. Naruto, bring her into the seal, Kaguya commands him, and he just obeys without saying a word. Rainer suddenly finds herself in a dark sewer with Naruto right next to her. How did we get here and where are we, Naruto-sama? Rainer asks politely. We are in my mindscape. Kaguya wants to talk to you, Naruto says, and Rainer becomes nervous. They walk to the end of the hallway, and they see Kaguya standing waiting for them. Reiner looks around and gasps as she sees 100-meter-tall beasts behind bars. What are they? She asks a little scared. They are my friends and her guards, you can say, Naruto answers as Reiner walks forward slowly while keeping an eye on all of them. She could feel that the turtle has a similar power level to Azazel. Reiner, come here and Naruto go pet Matatabi. She has been complaining about it for the past couple days, Kaguya says, and Matatabi jumps up her cage. Come here, Naruto-kun. I really miss you petting me, Matatabi says while she starts stretching out like a kitten. Chuckling, Naruto heads over to do what she asked, leaving Kaguya and Reiner alone. Once Kaguya was sure that Naruto was far enough away and thoroughly distracted, she turns to Reiner and says, listen, Reiner, you tried to help him to the best of your abilities and I appreciate that. Hell, you might have even been trying to get him to fuck you because you thought he would like that. But you need to know something since you will be Naruto's slave now. Reiner nods her head while still slightly blushing at what Kaguya said. Hey, sue her, she met one of the most powerful beings in existence, who is hot, and now she is his slave and he owns all of her. Of course, she is going to try to have him fuck her. Might be a little messed up, especially after what happened last night, but in the supernatural world males and females fight all the time, and if the male wins, the female summons herself to him sometimes. When Naruto was young, he was hated by his village for an incident he didn't do, but his village took it out on him. He was tortured and raped several times, but because of the big fox, Naruto didn't remember as the memories were sealed away. A couple days ago that seal was undone and Naruto remembered it all over again. That's why he freaks out now. So far I am the only person he will willingly touch and be near. I need your help to get him comfortable being around other people, Kaguya states. Reiner just nods her head in agreement, and several tears fall out of her eyes at what she was hearing. She has fortunately never had that happen to her, but she knew of some other fallen angels who it happened to, and they weren't the same afterward. Now Naruto is a pervert. He grew up and was trained by some of the biggest perverts I have ever seen thanks to his memories. Fortunately, he had counterbalances, which made him respect women as well. Anyhow, he is still a pervert, but now he has a crippling fear of contact. I think we can use that to our advantage to help bring him out of his shell, but we can't take it too far, Kaguya says, and Reiner nods her head in agreement. Okay, so you will help me on this. I am not sure how long it will take for him to become semi-comfortable with people touching him again, but we will make it happen. Your body also belongs exclusively to Naruto now, but I hope I didn't have to tell you that, she finishes with a small glare. Of course, Kaguya-sama. I will help Naruto-sama as much as I can. Also, I was born between two fallen angels, so I am actually 18 years old and haven't had sex before, Reiner says, a little embarrassed with a small bow. Kaguya raises her eyebrow at that as she honestly wasn't expecting that, but figured it was for the best as now Naruto would be the only one to ever fuck her. Naruto comes back over with a more cheerful expression after petting Matatabi as she can always make him smile. Everything okay? He asks them, making them both nod. Yes, now you have to go train that cat and I am going back to sleep, Kaguya says. Naruto nods in agreement, and he ejects them both back into the real world. Naruto takes a step back from her, as they had to be touching in order for her to enter his mindscape. He quickly looks down at her D-cup breasts, flat stomach, and her racy panties with his Rinne Sharingan capturing the image in perfect quality. He quickly looks back up to her face and notices that it's really beautiful when not contorted in the evil sneer. Do you see something that pleases you, Naruto-sama? She says with a pleasant smile, causing Naruto to blush and him trying to stutter out an apology. I don't mind, Naruto-sama. You do own all of me after all, she says with a small smirk causing his face to become even redder, and she walks away swaying her hips as she retreats to the tent. She could feel his eyes on her ass and smiled a little. Needless to say, but Reiner is really attracted to power. Naruto waits for her to get out of the tent and sees her dressed in the same costume as the night before, and he quickly grabs his stuff from the tent and throws them on. We really need to get you some new clothes, Naruto comments, as he grabs her shoulder and shoo-shins them in front of the occult clubhouse. Reiner immediately throws up from the speed while Naruto takes a step away from her and looks toward Kaneko, and sees Rias and another girl in a school uniform with them. Is something wrong? Naruto asks. I just wanted to introduce you to Sona Citri, of the Citri clan, who also owns this territory with me, Rias says to them both while keeping an eye on Reiner. Sona steps forward a step and slightly bows to Naruto. Hello, Uzumaki-san. I have heard much about you from Rias, she says with a curious and calculating glint in her eyes. Hello, Sona, it's a pleasure to meet you. Also, please call me Naruto as I don't do formalities, Naruto says with a small smile. I just wanted to make sure that you knew, but the fallen angel behind you is now your responsibility with all of her actions falling back on you. Are you okay with that? Sona says and Naruto nods his head. I won't cause Naruto-sama any problems, Reiner adds. Sona stares at her for a second to see if she was lying and then nods her head. I was also wondering if you both wanted to enroll in Inku Academy? It would be a good opportunity for you both, she says. Naruto, however, laughs and shakes his head. There is no way I am voluntarily going to school again. Even if I did, I would only skip, sleep, and play pranks, so it's best if I didn't. Reiner stays with me so she won't as well, Naruto says, and Sona feels like she just dodged a bullet when she heard that. Well, if you don't mind, I have to get started training these two, Naruto says, and Kaneko stands beside him, and so does Rainer. No, we won't keep you any longer. See you in a couple hours, Ria says, and with that Naruto shoo-shins them to the training ground several miles away. So, what do you think? Rias asks. I think he seems nice enough, though I don't know how he made that fallen angel submit herself, as they usually are a very prideful bunch like devils, Sona says while adjusting her glasses. I think we should be cautious around him, but he doesn't seem to be working against us, she finishes, and Rias nods her head. Naruto and the two girls appear in the middle of the training ground, and Kaneko immediately activates her gravity seal, and her knees wobble for a second before she starts running. She just graduated to level 3 and wants to be at level 4 soon. Naruto looks to the disoriented Rainer and says, okay, so the first thing we need to do is work on your stamina, speed, and strength, as it's lacking. So I am going to put on a gravity seal above your heart that uses chakra. Since you don't have any, I will have to be the one that activates and deactivates it. She nods her head, and he takes out his ink and brush and puts the seal on her left breast in a matter of seconds. He channels a touch of chakra into it, and Rainer instantly feels double her weight and almost falls on her face. Now just run for the next couple hours. We won't do anything else until you can reach level 4 and move easily, he says, and she starts running after Kaneko. Naruto creates 50 clones to purify the natural energy around Ko, which is going very well as the hatred is almost completely gone. But that's what happens when you purify it for several days straight, and also have some clones using wood release and water release to rebuild nature. Naruto has noticed that the animals seem much calmer, and have been enjoying what he has been doing, which makes him smile. By the end of today, I bet that the nature chakra here is completely void of anger. It's only several square miles out of the millions, but it's a start, he says to himself as he starts meditating. Rainer feels a sudden warmth envelop her, and she feels more peaceful and happy because of it, while Kaneko gets a small smile on her face at feeling the familiar energy. 2 hours later, and Rainer finally returns back to Naruto feeling like she was going to pass out. She looks up and sees Kaneko with her cat ears and tail out sitting near Naruto, as she catches her breath after that workout, and Naruto completely still with a bunch of animal life around him. She slowly approaches them and flops down to the ground to rest, which gets a small smile from Naruto. Rainer, did you like your warm-up? Naruto asks with a smile, and Rainer's eyes widen at that. Since you don't have school like Kaneko here, we get to work on other things now before Kaneko joins us again for yet another 2-hour run. Kaneko gives him a small glare at him teaching her other things, which he sees and quickly says, don't worry, Kaneko. The only thing she is going to be doing is dodge and strength training. She doesn't have the strength and durability of a rook after all, which satisfies her. Naruto-sama, I think I made a mistake asking you for training. Rainer pants out in between gasps for air, and Naruto waves her off. Naruto creates 2 clones and says, one of you take Kaneko back to school and continue to learn from Akino. I am getting better slowly. The other take this, he says, and hands them a small orange book that appeared out of nowhere, and find a publisher. Get money for it and set up a contract for royalties like Jiraiya did and connect it to a bank account that you make. They nod and set off on their tasks, leaving Rainer and Naruto alone. Naruto grabs Rainer, confusing her, and they shoo-shin away again. Landing in a different section of the forest, Rainer takes a second to get her bearings, and when she sees where they land she gasps. The place they landed is unrecognizable, as she can tell large-scale attacks happened here. This is where I actually train. Shouldn't exactly let others know I can do this, or I might draw attention to myself. There is a barrier around that blocks the energy, Naruto says with a smile. Naruto creates 1,000 clones to get started on the same techniques they have been working on for the past several weeks, before and after he arrived in this world, but instead of taijutsu they are working on lava release. They go off as Naruto channels some of his enormous chakra into the ground along with a small part of Shikaku's and creates a vast amount of sand, which shoots up and settles down near them. Now your only goal is to not get trapped by the sand, as it will throw you hard if you do. No flying, as that's cheating, Naruto states, getting a gulp from Rainer, who immediately backs away. This is going to be fun. If only my tenants were early risers they would enjoy this, he mutters as he can tell they are all still asleep. He floats up in the sky a bit to get a bird's eye view and sends the sand off at a slow pace toward Rainer, who is already running away and jumping and flipping to dodge the sand. He breaks the sand into different tentacles and they each start lashing out at her until she becomes overwhelmed and one grabs her foot. It takes her and throws her hard at ground, leaving a small impression in the ground, and Rainer coughs up a little blood. The sand backs away from her to allowing her to get up unimpeded before it launches after her again. For the next hour, this process repeats as Naruto sends sand after her, and when she gets captured after a couple minutes she gets thrown hard. Now, Naruto is getting bored, and a bored Naruto is usually the most dangerous. He decides to test her situational awareness, as it seems she is only focused on the sand coming after her, and not her surroundings. He flows around as Rainer dodges and several kunai appear out of the seals on his wrists. When Rainer turns her back to him as she was dodging the sand, he lets one fly at her at a decent pace, but definitely not as fast as he could or to kill her. The kunai lands in right shoulder, and she freezes upon the feeling the unexpected pain, and the sand grabs her and wraps her up. Naruto floats down next to the captured Rainer as explosions happen in the distance of new techniques he is trying to learn. You have no situational awareness, Rainer. You should have easily dodged that kunai, but you were so focused on the sand that you didn't feel it coming for you. From now on I will be throwing them at you when you are dodging the sand, Naruto says, and Reina looks down as she was disappointed in herself. Naruto gives her a smile to try and cheer her up and says don't worry, it's an easy fix and pain is a great motivator. Now let's take a short break so you can catch your breath and eat something. The sand falls down around Reina and Naruto pulls out the kunai from her back. Mystic palm technique, Naruto says, and his hands glow green and heal her wound. It's one of several healing techniques I know, and it's only good for torn muscles or small things like this wound. The others are for much worse, but they require a lot of chakra and one can be pretty creepy, Naruto says. Thank you, Reina says gratefully as she feels the pain leaving her. Naruto smiles and creates a clone to go grab some quick breakfast for them to eat using some small pocket change money Rias kindly gave him. So, do you me asking how you fell? Naruto says as he waits for his clone to get back. Actually, I was born a fallen angel. My mom and dad were both 8-winged fallen, but haven't been the best parents. I am only 18 years old, she says, getting a raised eyebrow from Naruto. Oh, I didn't even think of that. I just sort of assumed. Sorry. Did you see? Reina asks in a small voice to Naruto. I did, Reina. Sorry, he says while his red face is still turned away. I don't really mind, she says casually, making Naruto turn to her with a bewildered expression. What? He asks confused. I don't really mind you seeing, Naruto-sama. You might not realize this yet, but in the supernatural world girls can be very free with showing off their bodies. I do mind everyone else seeing now, but not you, Reina says with a shrug. Naruto just shakes his head and thinks I will never understand women. Ever. What won't you understand about women, Naruto? Kaguya says as she stretches on the ground. Yes, the progenitor of chakra sleeps on the ground in a sewer mindscape. Absolutely everything. Hey Kaguya, can you teach my clones that are working on lava release to use those bones of yours? An instant kill might really come in handy later, Naruto asks her. I can try my best from in here, but it's going to take you a while to learn it, Kaguya says, and she mentally commands the clones on some instructions. The clone returns with some pastries and fruit, and the pair quickly eat and observe the other clones tear up the ground. What's your favorite power, Naruto-sama? Reina asks between bites. I would say my favorite jutsu ever is my Raisin Shuriken, but currently I am really enjoying learning wood release as it is the most in tune with nature. My eye powers are pretty awesome too, but I don't use them too much as I don't want to rely on them. Why do you always hide your eyes? I think they look really nice, Reina says, and Kaguya, who is listening in, also hums her agreement. I just got used to it as people would be scared of them, Naruto says with a shrug. Plus, I really liked my blue eyes before as they were more expressive. It's hard to read emotions from these eyes. Anyways, let's get back to your training and remember I will be throwing kunai, Naruto says with a sadistic smile, and Reina gulps. Kaneko arrives to their normal training ground with a clone of Naruto, and she asks where is Reina. She is currently passed out from all the training and I doubt she will wake up in the next couple hours. Would you like to do dodge training? Clone Naruto asks and receives a head nod. Naruto summons up a lot of sand from the ground and Kaneko remembers from last night what he can do with it. If you get caught, you get thrown hard. No flying. Also watch out for the kunai, the clone says as he palms one and Kaneko gulps but nods, determined to get better. With her seal set at 3, she starts her hellish torture for the next several hours. The real Naruto is currently finishing healing up Reina as she was asleep. The clones were still practicing and explosions could be heard in the distance, but she was so tired that it didn't matter. The clones purifying the natural energy and Naruto gains all of their memories along with a sharp pain that lasts for a moment, and he smiles as the hatred and malice of the chakra has officially gone away in Ku and the surrounding area. He does furrow his eyebrows though as one clone thought he felt something coming very powerful and fast towards Ku. Naruto immediately goes into sage mode and feels the clean nature chakra enter his coils and he sighs in relief at the calming effect it has. He does, however, feel this being stop moving and suddenly turn and come directly towards him. Slightly alarmed, he mentally says, everyone, we have someone pretty strong coming towards our position right now. I would say their power is likely equal to Isabu, but it feels different than anything we have seen so far. That shouldn't be a problem for you, Kaguya states. I call fighting this time as Naruto is my partner, Kurama says to the rest of the Biju who just grumble in annoyance. We don't even know if there will be a fight, Naruto thinks as he continually monitors the being coming closer. It passes the barrier, and its slider falters and Naruto assumes it's because of the power his clones are using. It stops about 10 yards away from him, still in the trees, and stays there. I know that you are there, so whoever or whatever you are, please come out, Naruto states with his Rinna Sharingan showing as he doesn't want to take any chances. What he sees completely throws him for a loop. Out of the forest comes a beautiful woman standing about 5 feet 7 inches and around 28 years old with olive skin and dark green hair. Her light green eyes were studying Naruto as he could see the curiosity contained within them, while he admires her enchanting face. He glances over her body and sees it's covered with a simple long white dress, but he could tell it was the height of perfection with some cleavage of her DD breasts showing. She radiated an unearthly aura and Naruto was sure that she was one of those goddesses that he learned about. Who are you? She asks, tilting her head slightly to the right as she continues to take in Naruto's looks. She admits to herself that he is rather good looking and his eyes are intriguing. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, but I have many different titles. Who are you? He replies back and she was surprised at his lack of manners. My name is Gaia, she states proudly. Ah, okay. Are you a goddess? Naruto questions, prompting a sweat drop from Gaia. Do you really not know me? The primordial goddess of earth in the Greek pantheon? The grandmother of all the Olympians? Gaia says, prompting a shake of the head from Naruto. Sorry about that. I just started learning all this stuff as I lived in seclusion before I came here several days ago. Never mind, as you now know. What are you, Naruto Uzumaki? You aren't a yokai from what I can tell, yet you can use senjutsu and are even able to purify the hatred of natural chakra and energy, which no one has been able to do before, she asks curiously. Well, I am human, or at least I was. I am not really sure myself either. You can just call me a sage, as that makes the most sense to me, Naruto says with a shrug. Well, Naruto, you woke me from centuries of slumber, as I felt you purifying a small portion of nature's energy. It took me several days to find you, but I did. You have done more for me in a couple days than my children and grandchildren have done in millennia, so you have my sincere thanks, she says with a smile that causes to blush slightly. No problem, I am happy to help out. I really didn't like how malicious the energy felt around here, so I wanted to change it. I eventually will start spreading it to larger parts of the world, he says with a smile, and his guard relaxes. She gets a happy smile on her face and claps her hands together and says that settles it. I am staying with you now, Naruto-kun. Naruto's and Kaguya's eyebrows raise up to their hairlines when she proclaimed that, and she walks over and sits near him. Not to be rude or anything, Gaia, but don't you have things to do like see your children, grandchildren, or husband? Also, why would you want to stay with me? Well, my good-for-nothing children and grandchildren never even tried to help me or the earth, as they are too self-absorbed with themselves or fighting one another, so I don't really care all that much for them. My ex-husband and I are divorced and have been for a long time. It ended rather messily with Kronos, my son, castrating him, she says, making Naruto extremely nervous about being around her. As for being around you, you are pretty much one of the only people to ever help me. I will regain some of my strength back by being an untainted natural energy, and a healthy part of nature. You seem interesting and I am curious. And finally, you are extremely strong. Even though I am weakened, I can tell that you are extremely strong, and that just makes you even more attractive, Naruto-kun, she says with a wink. Naruto blushes at the compliment from the only woman he found on Kaguya's level of beauty, and Kaguya feels a little threatened as this woman could actually be a threat. She knows Naruto's type even if he doesn't, and she fits the bill. So, what is going on here? She asks as she looks at the sleeping girl in what appears to her as a bondage outfit, and the explosions a decent bit away from them with many different copies of himself. I just got finished training Rainer, who is my attendant/servant here, who I picked up yesterday. She wants to get strong, so I am training her to reach her potential. Over there my clones are practicing new jutsus and practicing others that I know to perfection. Here I know one you might like, he says before flipping through several hand signs. Would release. Deep forest emergence, he says, and in front of them several trees quickly sprout of the ground and become extremely huge trees in a matter of seconds. I have another technique that can create an entire forest extremely quick on pretty much and surface, he says while scratching the back of his head. Gaia turns to him with stars in her eyes and pretty much glomps him. He freezes and stiffens right before she hugs him for a couple seconds while Kaguya watches on with bated breath. She knows that Naruto knows that the goddess means no harm, and she was just expressing herself, but she still worries for his mental state. Gaia notices his stiffness and pulls back after a couple seconds and remarks, that's the most amazing thing I have seen in a long time. You are certainly fascinating, Naruto-kun. I am so happy I found you. Why yes, you seem like a nice person so far, Gaia, so I don't mind if you stay with us. Just please respect personal space, he says as he takes a deep breath. She frowns at him and his expression, but merely nods her head. Would you like to see a couple other things I can do? Naruto asks with a smile, trying to lighten the mood a little. Yes, I would like that very much. Okay. So I have been developing this jutsu for a couple weeks now. As for this family of jutsu, there isn't many I know, but yesterday I finally figured it out. I will do it on a small scale to demonstrate, he says, and stands up and faces outward towards some grass, bushes and a few trees. He flips through several more hand signs and says scorch release. Murdering heat wave, and releases an extremely hot gust of air from his lungs, and in front of him in a wide area the grass, bushes, and trees catch fire and quickly disappear, leaving just ash and a cracked, arid ground. Wow, that was powerful. You evaporated all the water in the area with extreme heat, which set everything on fire, right? She says, and Naruto nods. Yes, and it's a short to mid-range area of effect attack. You either have to dodge, blow back the air, or use a lot of water to counteract it. I was inspired by a similar attack I have using boil release, but that melts people and things instead. It's a hobby of mine to create jutsus, Naruto explains. Alright, I will show you two more. He flips through several hand signs and says wood release. Wood dragon, and a ginormous wood dragon raises from the ground in front of him, and he sends it at several of his clones, destroying them. I have to say I really love those woodjutsu, she says with a sultry smile, and Naruto makes a note to practice them more. Kaguya rolls her eyes at that thought. Naruto then finally creates a Rasengan in his hand and says, this and all its variations that I have made are my favorite jutsus as I made them, except this one, and they are some of my most powerful. Unfortunately, if I used my most powerful ones here, then we would get caught in the blast. Wow, you have such a variation in skills and all of them powerful. How old are you if you don't mind me asking, she says as she is curious as to how she has never heard of him. Well, I am 19, Naruto says, and Gaia's jaw drops slightly. 19? How is that even possible? She says with a disbelieving chuckle. Naruto Rainer moans, causing both of them to sweat drop. It seems someone is having a really good dream of you right now, Naruto-kun, she says with a small smirk, getting him to blush. I don't understand her. Yesterday we were enemies and I even mentally tortured her and made her my servant, and now she is saying all this stuff like she is interested in me. Naruto mutters out to Gaia, hoping she could shed some light on a girl's psyche. In the supernatural world, women are attracted to extremely powerful males. There are even fights between males and females fight, and if the male wins, then the female submits herself to him, and they become his mate. That's probably what happened with her, Gaia explains to him, and Naruto finds that whole concept extremely weird. But she doesn't know anything about me, he exclaims. No one said anything about love. She is just extremely attracted to you and would probably fuck you whenever you wanted it. She is aware of the extreme power difference between you two, and yet you spared someone extremely weak like her and let her serve you and now are helping her. Do you see now? Kind of, he says with a sigh. This is very troublesome. I truly fail to realize your predicament, as she is decently attractive even if she is weak. Besides, even if you take her, it's not you can't take others as well as someone with her power won't complain, Gaia says with a shrug. You mean a harem? Naruto says incredulously, getting a nod from her. Yes, it's quite common actually. If I remember correctly, almost all high-ranking male devils have one. Of course, someone has to be the alpha, she says with a small plotting smile that Kaguya sees and doesn't like at all. The supernatural world is certainly different than anything I would have thought, Naruto says with a chuckle. They both notice Rainer starting to wake up. Rainer wakes up with a smile on her face as she remembers what she was just dreaming about doing with Naruto. She opens her eyes and blinks several times to see clearly, and sees Naruto talking to a gorgeous woman who has dark green hair. Naruto-sama, who is your guest? Rainer says as she sits up and drinks in the appearance of the new lady, and grudgingly admits she is more attractive than herself by a little bit. Rainer, say hello to Gaia, the primordial goddess of earth of the Greek religion, Naruto says with a smile, and Rainer's eyes widen, and she immediately bows her head to her. It's a pleasure to meet you, Gaia-sama, Rainer says, and Gaia just smiles at her. Please call me Gaia, as I will now be living with you and Naruto-kun. Speaking of that, shall we leave for your house? Gaia says, and Rainer looks over to Naruto. Well, we have been camping, Naruto says, sheepishly, getting a deadpan expression from the goddess. However, while we were talking, my clone that I sent out to make money by publishing a book got a huge deal with a company, and now we have plenty of money, and with royalties from the book sales we should be set. He already bought a house on the outskirts of the town, and got us a credit card. Good, and you will make the nature around the house nice too. Now let's go, as I would like to take a bath, Gaia states as she gets up. Naruto tells his clones to have a battle with some just as they were learning, nothing too destructive though after they leave. Powering up his eyes, he says Yamatsu Hirasaka, and a rift in space appears in front of him. He walks, and with the two females looking at each other briefly before following him, they appear before a large white 2-story Western-style house, and Naruto turns around and smiles. I didn't know if that was going to work. Anyways, there are 4 bedrooms on the 2nd story with each having their own restroom and shower. Take whatever room each of you want. There is a large bath on the 1st floor that can comfortably fit several people in it. I am going to make sure the nature is nice as per Gaia's request, he says with a wave while walking around the house. Rainer and Gaia both walk in and head upstairs to find their room and walk in awkward silence. Hey Rainer, would you like to take a bath with me? I'd like to ask you some questions, Gaia says before she heads into the 1st bedroom on the right. Yes, of course, Gaia-sama, Rainer says, and Gaia frowns. Just Gaia, Rainer, as we are living together as equals with Naruto. As long as you are fine with it, then okay, Gaia, Rainer says with a smile. Meet in the bath in 5? Gaia says, and she receives a nod. 5 minutes later they both walk into the bathroom and smile as it looks like Naruto's clone made it before they got here. Hey Rainer, if you wash my back I will do yours, she offers. Yes, I would appreciate that, she says, and they both take off their towels and examine each other. Clean shaven, it's a good look. I will have to try it, Gaia says as she looks at Rainer. Thanks. It's in right now. Your body is flawless, I am so jealous, Rainer says with a slight pout on her face. Your body is well proportioned as well, and Naruto has definitely noticed, Gaia says as she sits down and begins washing the front of her body. Rainer blushes as she kneels behind Gaia and begins to scrub her back. They sit there in silence for a minute, and Gaia asks, is it true you were just made Naruto's servant last night? Hi, last night he decided to spare me after we fought, and told me what I was going to be. I talked back to him, and he used sojutsu on me that transported me to another realm where he was Kami. He tortured me until I didn't have that prideful, arrogant will anymore, which felt like months to me and was only a second in the real world. I met Kaguya-sama there, and she told me of how I was to be Naruto-sama's slave, and how he owns me for the rest of my life, Rainer explains. Who is Kaguya? Gaia asks, confused. She is this extremely powerful woman sealed inside Naruto. It happened after Naruto and her fought several years ago. Afterward, she found out some things about Naruto, and now she likes him, Rainer tells her. Interesting, could you tell me more about her? Gaia says as they switch positions. As Gaia washed her back, Rainer tells her all she knows about Kaguya and even talks about the other tailed beasts inside Naruto guarding her. Gaia is even more surprised as the three-tailed beast is as strong as the leader of the Grigori, Azazel. They hop in the hot bath and soak in the hot water, releasing sighs of contentment. Wow, she must be unimaginably powerful, and for Naruto to be even more powerful than her now, Gaia says, licking her lips and getting a pleasant shiver down her spine. So, when are you planning on making him take you to bed? If you don't hurry, I might beat you to the punch. It's been several millennia since I have gotten some. He has already fit all my criteria with helping me in nature, being hot, and being super powerful, Gaia says, but notices Rainer's sad face with tears coming out of her eyes. What's wrong? Gaia asks, confused. There is something you need to know about Naruto-sama, and why he doesn't like being touched, Rainer says softly. She explains about his childhood to her, getting a horrified gasp from Gaia, and her power accidentally flares before she quickly reins it in. The kitsune sealed away those memories so that Naruto could have a more normal life. But a short while ago the seal came undone, and he remembered everything all at once. Last night he was screaming, squirming, and crying as he was having a nightmare about it. Kaguya-sama is the only one he allows to touch him. She wants me to get him more comfortable with others touching him by doing so myself. If you could help him, I would greatly appreciate it, Reina says with a bowed head, and Gaia nods her head with tears streaming down her face. Of course, I will help in any way that I can, Gaia says through sobbing, and they hug. You know us hugging naked would be any pervert's wet dream, Rainer jokes, and Gaia chuckles while wiping her tears away. Well, one day we can do it for Naruto, Gaia says with a blush, and Rainer gets one as well. The next morning Naruto sends a clone to go work out with Rainer and Kaneko because he was currently in heaven. The bed he was in made him realize how much luxury he has missed out in life, and he wants more. After a couple more hours of sleep he gets out of bed as he knows Rias would like to meet his new guest, and he is going to get the books from her as he can have Gaia teach him, and it should go much quicker. He gets out of bed wearing only his boxers and throws on a different set of the same clothes and walks over to Gaia's room and knocks on the door. Receiving no answer, he opens the door and sees her spread out on the bed with no covers covering her, and she is wearing a revealing nightgown. Gaia, he says, but receives no response. Sighing, he goes over and shakes her shoulder while calling her name. She slowly opens her eyes and sees Naruto over her, and she notices she is still in bed. So forward after only one day, but I can't say I mind it, she says with a small smile, and he blushes. She acts the same way as Rainer, he thinks. We need to go to see Rias for a minute, Naruto says, and starts to make his way out the door. I hope you like what you see, she says with a knowing glint in her eye at what she did to him, and he quickly snaps out of his stupor. Can you come and clip this bra for me? Rainer, lend it to me, Gaia says as she slides on a black thong that clearly came from Rainer as well. Naruto just gulps and moves behind her and fumbles with the straps as he doesn't have any experience doing it. Naruto-kun, I know you don't like people touching you, but you can always touch me or Rainer, she says with her turned around looking at his face, which gets even redder, and he messes up clipping the bra again. IWH, what, I'll be downstairs, he exclaims as he finally gets the straps clipped together, and practically runs out of the room. Fufufu, it looks like that plan may actually work, Gaia says with a smirk. She puts on her white dress from yesterday on as it's her only clothes. Walking down the stairs she sees Naruto in the sparsely decorated living room, and when he sees her he blushes again. It's almost like you have never seen a naked woman before, Naruto-kun, she remarks as she stands near him. I have. Just never been so close to one, especially as beautiful as you, he says, and channels power to his Rinna Sharingan and opens the space-time portal. He quickly walks in and Gaia follows after him, but with a slight blush after that compliment from her prospective lover. Coming back from training, Kaneko is panting, sweaty mess, and her clothes are bloody from the dodge training in front of the occult clubhouse. She really has a slight fear of sand now after being brutalized by it. She is curious, however, as to why Rainer came back here with her today. Rainer looks in even worse shape than her, as she doesn't have her rook durability. She is currently getting healed of her injuries as they see a black portal appear in front of them. Kaneko gets up and deactivates her gravity seal, but notices Rainer is happy about seeing the portal, so it must be Naruto's doing. Out of the portal walks Naruto and a gorgeous dark green-haired woman, and Kaneko can admit that she easily rivals Graphia and Seraphol, who are recognized as the hottest women in the underworld. She sees her breasts, and looks down at her own and gets depressed. Hey Kaneko, and Rainer, Naruto says, and his clone pops to give him the information of this morning. More dodge and situational awareness training. That explains the injuries. It seems that you are both improving, though you still have a long way to go. Just wait until I add several more clones to throw kunai as well, he says with a sadistic smirk, making them pale as it really hurts getting hit with those. Anyways, we are here to see Rias and introduce her to my new companion, as she will be living here with Rainer and I for a while, it seems, Naruto says, getting a nod from the olive-skinned woman. Rainer gets up and walks slowly over to Naruto and Gaia to stand beside them. Kaneko leads them into the clubhouse and into their club room. Good morning, Kaneko, Rias says while doing paperwork, and looks up to see Kaneko's battered form and gasps. Are you okay? What happened? Rias asks, concerned and standing up. Yes, and dodge training. I didn't dodge enough, she says in her monotone voice with a hint of frustration laced in it. She makes her way to the showers to wipe off all the grime, sweat, and blood. Is that training really necessary? Rias asks with a cross expression back towards Naruto, and takes note of the fact that there is a stunning woman with him and Rainer. Quite as it will one day save her life, no doubt, Rias, Naruto says with a stern gaze, and Rias backs down. I just don't like seeing them get hurt, that's all, she says with a sigh, and Naruto nods his head at that, as he wouldn't like seeing his friends hurt either. Who is your friend? Rias asks as she looks curiously at the olive-skinned woman. Said woman steps up and says, hello, Rias Gremory. My name is Gaia, and Rias' eyebrows shoot up in surprise. You mean the Greek primordial goddess Gaia? Rias asks cautiously. The very same. Naruto filled me in last night that you and Sona Citri run this town. I mean no harm, as I came here in search of the source that woke me from my centuries of slumber. It was Naruto-kun who was purifying the nature chakra and making this a paradise for a goddess like myself, and it helps me regain my strength being here. I am just going to be accompanying him from now on, she says with a smile. Rias nods and smiles at the goddess, but inwardly she is extremely nervous. She tries to sense her power and is astonished to find that it's Satan class level. Well, if that's all, I will also be taking those books, as I am sure either Rainer or Gaia can teach me how to read. I will still train Kaneko as long as I am in town per our agreement. Tell her to meet me here from now on, as it's now where I live, Naruto says as he handles a slip of paper to Rias with his address. No problem, Naruto. I will also let Sona know that Gaia is staying with you. Naruto nods his head and Rainer collects the books on the table. He grabs both girls on the shoulder and shins away, leaving Rias in the room by herself, and she collapses on a couch in a totally undignified manner. First I get a pervert in my peerage, then Naruto shows up and he apparently is pretty strong, and then a primordial Greek goddess shows up looking for Naruto and is now living with him. What's next? She mutters aloud as she rubs her temples with her hands. After laying there for a couple minutes she gets up and teleports to Sona to tell her the news. Naruto, Rainer, and Gaia appear back where they met yesterday, and Gaia looks slightly pale but doesn't throw up, much to Rainer's chagrin. Well, Rainer, since you already did some dodge training, go work on your stamina and strength training, making her groan, but she starts running away from her. He creates 1,000 clones to start training in what they were doing yesterday, and another 50 after that to spread out past Ka and start purifying that nature chakra as well. So, Gaia, are you going to train? Naruto asks her, and he gets a soft melodic laugh in response. I think not, as right now I am focusing on recovering my strength. I just have to be in pure nature for that to happen like so. Besides, I haven't had to fight in millennia, why would I train? Naruto frowns at her answer and says, because you never know when you are going to come across someone stronger. If I come across someone like that, you would fight for me, right? She says with a puppy dog eyes that made her look really cute. Why yes, Naruto stammers out, making her grin. But that doesn't mean you should always rely on me. Fine, after I recover my strength to its max, then I will train with you, though we may need somewhere else as this entire area would be torn apart, she says. I can help with that. Kaguya exclaims, and Naruto raises an eyebrow at that. How so? I can teach you how to make your own pocket dimensions with the Rinna Sharingan. It will take around a week straight to do, and you will probably expend around 50% of your chakra to do so. That sounds awesome. I definitely need to make several of these, Naruto thinks with stars in his eyes. Naruto-kun? She says as she noticed he spaced out, which brings him back. Sorry about that, but Kaguya told me she'd help me create my own pocket dimensions, Naruto says while rubbing the back of his head a bit embarrassed. Did I even tell you about Kaguya? Naruto says aloud, but more questioning himself. Rainer actually did last night, so I know about her. Still, to create your own dimensions is really something, Gaia says with a little awe in her voice. Yeah, well, once you recover we can go there. I would like to actually spar with someone from time to time, as it can get boring doing just training techniques. I haven't had a good spar in years, Naruto says with a little battle lust in his eyes. Naruto's favorite thing behind ramen, the color orange, and learning a new jutsu is a good spar. Gaia suddenly gets a bad feeling about staying with Naruto but shakes it off. So, Naruto, let's get you to able to read, Gaia says as she sits next to him, and he tenses a bit. I won't touch you unless you say it's alright, okay? She says soothingly, which makes him relax somewhat. She opens the book and starts reviewing the grammar structures of kanji with him. At noon, Rainer returns from her hellish workout regime to see Gaia and Naruto close together talking over the kanji with explosions happening semi-regularly in the background. She smiles as she can see that Naruto is allowing them to get closer to him unconsciously. She then immediately walks up next to them and lays down on the grass with her chest heaving in and out. Naruto looks down at the figure of Rainer, and his sight slightly lingers on her chest before he smiles as he can tell she is absolutely exhausted. Good job, Rainer. I think we all need a break, and we do need to buy you both some more clothes and other necessities. So let's take the afternoon off to get all of that. You can do your afternoon session tonight, Rainer, he says, which deflates her, as she thought she was going to get this afternoon off. All three head to the shopping mall, and once they arrive they draw a lot of attention. Fortunately, Rainer wasn't wearing her bondage costume and changed into a long blue skirt and long sleeve shirt. He turns to them and hands them the credit card, which upon doing so sees the devious smirks on their faces and just realizes he is going to be poor again after this. The next 3 hours is Naruto being asked for his opinion on different clothes from 20 different stores and him having to shushin back to the house about 30 times to drop off all the clothes, shoes, makeup, and other accessories they bought. Naruto was glad that Rainer decided to get something different for her training outfit, even if it was spandex and workout bras. The only thing he bothered to get was a couple different dress clothes, an orange tie, and a suit as it apparently is needed in this world. It also helped how the girls told him that it looked really good on him. Finally, after they walked the entire mall and going into virtually every store, they end up back where they started and Naruto breathes out a sigh of relief. I am definitely sending a clone to do this next time, he promises himself. At least they get to do all this shopping. Kaguya pouts inside his mindscape. I didn't peg you as someone who would be interested in this, Naruto thinks absent-mindedly. I am a girl, Naruto. Even back when I ruled the elemental nations I like to buy nice things, and this world has much more, Kaguya says with a small glare. Well, Rainer and Gaia, did we get you everything that you need? Naruto asks. Actually, Rainer says a little shyly, there is one more thing I need. She starts walking and they both follow her. She stops in front of the store and Naruto's eyes widen as it's a lingerie store and Gaia smiles at Rainer for her good thinking. I think this is the perfect store to end our shopping excursion on, Gaia says with a nod and walks next to Rainer. I will just wait out here, okay? Naruto says and Rainer looks at him confused. How am I supposed to know if it looks good to a guy or not then? You have to come in, okay? She says with her cutest expression which destroys all his willpower. The secret to defeating Naruto is just be too cute to fight and he is done for. He sighs and rolls his eyes but mutters fine, getting Rainer to excitedly squeal. Walking in with the two girls and immediately everyone's eyes go toward him to make sure he wasn't trying anything perverted. He sticks closely to the girls, who are grabbing many different styles of lingerie to try on. Now Naruto-kun, the more truthful about what you think looks best the faster we will be done here, Gaia informs him, who nods as that's exactly what he wants. Naruto sits in a chair outside the changing rooms where they are trying on what they pick up. 30 minutes and several nosebleeds later, Naruto walks out of the store very dazed by what he just saw, carrying many different bags. I swear Erosenin would have enough material for 4 separate books right there, Naruto thinks while developing a small smile at the thought. While walking out of the store, he is in such a daze that when Gaia grabs his arm and wraps her arm it, he doesn't freak out, making the girls genuinely smile in happiness. Rainer does the same thing and whispers in his ear, thank you for everything today, Naruto-sama. He smiles down at her, still slightly lost in his own thoughts, and says anytime, Rainer, and continues allowing them to hang off his arms. He creates a portal with his eyes and they all step through back to the house, each extremely happy with how the day went. What if Naruto has Kaguya sealed inside High School DxD? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.